of emerging areas. Their aim is to reach a potential life-threatening emergency in the first vital minutes before the ambulance crew arrives and provide the appropriate care, including CPR and defibrillation, until the more highly skilled ambulance crew arrives on the scene to take over the treatment. No previous experience is required for interested parties and full training will be provided. Roddy Smith, an advanced paramedic with the National Ambulance Service, Newton Cunningham CFO and Irish Red Cross, will be a guest speaker at the public meeting, which is due to take place on Monday, August the 21st at 8 p.m. in the Lake of Shadows Hotel, Buncrana.
There's been a record level of philanthropic donations made to causes in Ireland. The Community Foundation Ireland's annual report shows grants of €27.2 million were given out to communities here last year. Over €7.5 million was used in direct response to the war in Ukraine, while funding was also used for causes working on climate action and combating sexual violence. The foundation has a network of 5,000 voluntary community and charitable partners across the country. Director of Communications Jerry O'Connor says gift giving by wealthy individuals is growing.
This is the continuation of a trend that we've seen really since the pandemic. We are seeing, albeit from a very low base compared to international standards, we are seeing Irish philanthropy growing. And by philanthropy, we mean strategic, bigger gift giving, which really takes that longer term view.
Having a look at the weather, mostly cloudy this morning. Sunny spells will slowly break through in the afternoon and evening, staying mostly dry apart from some isolated showers. Highest temperatures of 17 to 19 degrees and a light south or variable breeze. That's all for now. The next news update is at 10 o'clock, and until then, good morning.
Was that milk still in date? I was muted on that call, wasn't I? Am I after losing my car keys?
Most things we worry about never happen. And at Liberty Insurance, we want you to worry less about things that do. With great benefits like loss of keys cover for only €8 a year. So you're free to worry about literally anything else.
Did I send that to the entire group chat?
Or not worry at all. Less worry, more liberty. For our latest offers, go to libertyinsurance.ie. Liberty Seguros Compañía de Seguros y Reaseguros S.A. Trading as Liberty Insurance is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pensions Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules. Loss of keys cover is an optional extra. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Until Noon Show on Highland Radio with Donal Kavanagh. It's a Wednesday morning. It's the 9th of August. You're very welcome to the show. If you want to make contact with us, you can do so by texting 086 60 25,000. That number good for WhatsApp messages as well. You can also call us on 074 91 25,000. Caroline and Niamh are taking your calls this morning. You can use social media. We're at Highland Radio on Twitter or X. We're Highland Hub on Facebook. We're also all over Instagram and Snapchat and other social media as well. You can email us comments at highlandradio.com. You can write to us. It's the 9 till Noon Show, Highland Radio, Mountain Top Letter Kenny. And you can communicate with us in any way you choose, because as we always say, whereas we do have a busy show lined up in terms of guests, the bedrock of this programme, what makes this programme the special programme it is your opinions, it's your perspectives, it's your take on the stories of the day, or indeed the issues you believe we should be raising. We will start, as always, with a look at the papers, a number of the local papers out today, starting with the Donegal Post. Ardlo Hanlon spotted in Finner Camp. He's making a TV programme and has been doing some filming in the South Donegal area. And some pictures, obviously, inside as well from the Ballyshannon Folk Festival. Another success in Ballyshannon took place last weekend. Now, the main story written by Siobhan McNamara, sharp increase in COVID-19. COVID-19 is circulating in our communities, leading to increased pressure on a health system that's already stretched beyond capacity. As of 8 a.m. on yesterday, Tuesday morning, there were 16 patients in Letterkenny University Hospital with COVID-19 and 23 in Sligo. Nationally, the figure was 378. And indeed, in the week leading up to the bank holiday weekend, the HSE locally had indeed been warning of busy hospitals and pressure on the hospital system, and an increase in COVID figures was one of the reasons given for that particular concern. Front of the Inish Times this morning, Buncrana to remember Omagh bombing victims. Buncrana will next week mark the 25th anniversary of the Omagh bombing. It killed 4 children and a young woman who had left Inishowen on the morning of the atrocity. It took the lives of 3 children from the town, 8-year-old Oren Doherty and 12-year-olds Sean McLaughlin and James Barker. They were part of a group of local children accompanying a Spanish exchange group on a day out. Blasco Baselga and Rocia Abad Amos, 12 and 23 respectively, both from Madrid, also died in the blast. The Finn Valley Voice this morning GoFundMe campaign for St Johnson cancer patient. Slee Midlin writes that nearly €2,000 been raised for a St Johnson man who is undergoing cancer treatment. Martin Gamble underwent the surgery in the Blackrock Clinic in Dublin on Wednesday last. It removed a portion of his lung and a tumour. His nephew says they're praying and hoping he'll get home soon, and as soon as he is able to do so. And as always, the local community getting behind one of their own, and that is the main story there on the front of the Finn Valley Voice. Looking at the Irish Independent this morning as we move to the Nationals, and there's one photograph that's appearing on all the national papers this morning. That's the funeral cortege of Sinead O'Connor as it passes through the streets of Bray ahead of her funeral. Thousands lined the streets yesterday to say their final farewells. The Irish Independent's main story on the front page: increase in child benefit rate now on table in budget talks. The Independent really going for it all this week, I think it seems, with the budget. Exclusive, they say, an increase in the 140 monthly child benefit payment affecting 650,000 families has been put forward in coalition talks on budget 2024. The possibility of increasing the core rate paid in respect of 1.2 million children has been discussed as an option by ministers in preliminary talks ahead of the budget, which is due to be unveiled in October. And Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has pledged to address levels of child poverty in the state. Front of the Irish Times this morning, again, a picture of Sinead O'Connor passing through the streets of Bray. This is a picture taken on the seafront as thousands said a final goodbye. The private family funeral was attended by the President and the Taoiseach, and Sinead's brother Joseph O'Connor, read his poem Blackbird in Donal at the service, and that poem is reproduced on the front of the Irish Times this morning as well. Front of the main story then underneath the Sinead O'Connor coverage is Portugal battles wildfires as global heat reaches record levels. July confirmed as hottest month on record as flames spread toward the Algarve. Iberian Peninsula braced for third summer heatwave with temperatures in the mid-40s. So if you are heading to Portugal, just bear that in mind in the coming weeks. Another heatwave on the way there to the Algarve. The Irish Daily Mail, farewell to a daughter of Ireland. Again, the Sinead O'Connor funeral cortege. The main story on the front page: ex-teacher's death means we'll never see justice. Dozens of victims of an alleged serial abuser in Terenure College say they've been denied justice after he died at the weekend following a lengthy Garda investigation. The Irish Daily Mail can reveal that Dennis Whitty, 83, a former lay teacher, was due to face 9 sample charges next month in relation to one person who allegedly suffered at his hands. The victim told the Mail he wanted to go to court and look Whitty in the eye, but will now be unable to do so. He likened attending the school in Dublin to walking through the gates of hell. The front of the Irish Daily Star this morning, again, the Sinead O'Connor funeral cortege passing through Bray. Sinead's final bow. Thousands of fans join stars to thank daughter of Ireland. And that's the front of the Irish Daily Star. Front of the Mirror this morning, farewell, a beloved daughter of Ireland. Again, the main story: Bob Geldof and President Higgins lead thousands of mourners at funeral. The thousands lined the streets to pay their final respects. And the Irish Sun, again, a unique daughter of Ireland. Fans farewell to the voice of a generation. Also exclusive Masons United talks. That's, I presume, on the back pages. We'll take a peek at the back page. Disaster. PFA chief backs Pep, Varane and KDB. I presume that's Kevin De Bruyne. As added time controversy rocks game, the football bosses risk sleepwalking to disaster by forcing matches to run over 100 minutes. The PFA chief executive, Maheta Belongo, and apologies for that pronunciation, it's no more Malango, I think. Back to Manchester United defender Rafael Varane, who branded the new rules dangerous, damaging and senseless. Manchester City star Kevin De Bruyne and boss Pep Guardiola also fumed at the time-wasting crackdown after the Community Shield. So they are your papers as they are this morning. As we say, if you have an issue you'd like to see raised on the programme, please make contact. 0749125,000 is the phone number. You can text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000 or comment on our socials as well. Don't forget, by the way, we are broadcasting live across YouTube and across our Facebook channels and pages as well. Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube, and it's Highland Radio and Highland Radio News and Sport on Facebook. You can watch the programme as it unfolds. That means you get to see the Zoom calls as they happen, and you get to see my cheery visage as well, if that's what tickles your fancy. And the programme is as accessible as we can possibly make it, and we make it that accessible because we want you to access it. So please do get in touch. Please do raise the issues you want to raise. It's 12.5 9.
A public service announcement from Donegal County Council. National Heritage Week takes place from Saturday, August 12th to Sunday, August 20th, and there are almost 100 events taking place. Most of them are free, so there are lots of opportunities to enjoy and engage with Donegal's natural, built and cultural heritage. This year's theme is Living Heritage, so why not explore our heritage through traditional skills demonstrations, guided walks, heritage site visits, field trips, exhibitions, talks, workshops, artisan fairs, historical reenactments, launch events and children's activities. To discover what's happening in Donegal, check out the Heritage Week website at heritageweek.ie. Donegal County Council, serving the people and preserving the heritage of Donegal.
Free. Students in primary and special schools will get all the books, workbooks and copies that they need for free when they go back to school this year. Primary schools have received funding to buy the books, workbooks and copies for every child, so there's no need for families to buy or to pay a fee for these.
Free primary school books. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Have I got news for you? The Harvey's Point Cabaret is back. Every Wednesday in September and October, Eamon has gathered a galaxy of stars to captivate and entertain. A scrumptious dinner, fabulous entertainment, or a 2-night accommodation package. Harvey's Point Cabaret 074 972 2208 for an immediate reservation or harveyspoint.com.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It is 14 minutes past 9 o'clock.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio, and we're going to go now to Anna on line 1. Anna, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal, to you too.
Anna, we were speaking...
You're doing a very good job in Greg's absence.
Thank you very much indeed. Anna, you have contacted us because you were in Greencastle on Sunday, wonderful part of the world, but the joy of your being there was somewhat tempered by the amount of litter that was around the place.
Yes. I generally would have a walk in Greencastle or in Moville, and I was shocked on that particular day that I went down to see the amount of litter that was strewn around a common ground part there in Greencastle where cars would park and that, and people would walk around that area. And I was just amazed at the amount of litter. There was takeaway boxes and there was just rubbish of all kinds lying around, scattered around everywhere. And I was amazed because there are bins in that area, just right beside where, there was a takeaway box in particular, a few other things. There's bins in that very particular area, at least two. There's certainly one, and there may be two. But, I don't know what kind of people, like that they just can't take their litter, put it into put it into a bin, because there are bins in Greencastle. I mean, and I have seen local people out with their pickers, picking up rubbish from time to time, and they really shouldn't have to do that. And I think that people all people, locals and visitors alike, should respect the area that they're in.
And obviously, it was a bank holiday weekend. The weather wasn't great, but still, I mean, Donegal got a lot of people visiting from all parts of the island of Ireland. And, it's great to see the crowds. It's great to see them bring the money in. It's great to see the investment in the local economy. But it's interesting the contrast you make, because on the one hand, you've got local people who will put on the yellow Tidy Towns vests and they'll go out with their pickers and they'll pick up litter. There are others who will sit in their cars, eat their fast food, and rather than walk 15 feet to the bin, they'll just wind down the window and chuck it out. And the difference between those two people is immense.
Yes. It's just difficult to understand. And I know we have the same problem in Moville, particularly on the green, on the top path. I have seen rubbish lying there as well. People who get a takeaway or whatever they do, their drinks or their snacks or their ice cream, and they just discard the container that it was in, just wherever they happen to be sitting. There are some people are very conscious, and I can see that myself, and especially dog walkers and that. I have noticed that they are very respectful of the area, but in general, well, not say in general, there are always people who will disregard the I don't know what kind of people they are, just to be just throwing everything around them.
And the sad thing is, unless anyone think we're saying, Greencastle is very littered or Moville is very littered, if you go to any place in north, east, west, south Donegal, southwest Donegal, northeast Donegal, go anywhere in the county, and sadly, it will be the same story.
Yeah, it's a pity, because a lot of the Tidy Towns people, they do a lot of work, keeping the places, tidy. And it's just a pity that others just don't have that same respect. I have seen people in Greencastle out with their pickers picking up rubbish, and I thought, you really shouldn't have to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I would just appeal, and the festival will be coming up now in Greencastle shortly, as far as I can understand. And I would just ask people who are visiting, and indeed locals as well, to have a bit of respect for the area that they're in, and have a bit of regard for the Tidy Towns people and the people who go and pick up after them.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna, thanks indeed for your call. The point is well made, and look, it's just a matter of saying to people, please, if you're having a takeaway, just stroll over to the bin, put it into the bin, and it doesn't take an awful lot of effort. Anna, thank you indeed for speaking to us.
You're more than welcome.
And listen, keep on enjoying those wonderful.
Continue the good work that you're.
Yeah, and look, you keep on enjoying and you keep on enjoying your walks in Greencastle and Moville, a wonderful part of the country, and a part I love visiting myself. Now we're going to go to line 2, and we're going to Councillor Michael McClaverty, who's the Cathaoirleach of Glenties Municipal District. Now, Michael, very good morning to you.
Morning, Donal. Morning, listeners.
One of the issues, Michael, and we have discussed this before, is the provision of recycling facilities in the Cloughaneely area, and there has been question marks over the lack of facilities and the need for more. And you met someone at the weekend who had a bag of stuff to recycle and was looking for the recycling facility in which to put the stuff, the very socially responsible thing to do, but couldn't find anything.
Couldn't find anything, Donal, to be fair. He obviously walked around the town first of all, so he couldn't seen there was nowhere to be seen. He landed with me then. He says, where do we put our recycling / rubbish? Well, I says, if it just rubbish is into the bin, I says, but there is no as such recycling place for cardboard and waste paper that you're asking about. And he says, what are you supposed to do, chuck it out the window then? I says, no. I says, of course you don't chuck it out the window, sir. I says, but look, I says, unfortunately, we don't have here what you're looking for. I says, as much in all as we are trying to get one, and a couple of the towns along here, but we don't have what you have. I says, but look, I says, tell you what, give me the bag, and I'll deal with it. I says, thanks very much for doing that. But I says, this is the wrong approach. I says, I know you're probably only seeing it in passing, but it's the wrong approach to even think of chucking it out the window. Because the unfortunate thing is here, Donal, down right along the N56 here now, and including our back roads as well as that as well, there's a lot of rubbish getting thrown out from takeaways to plastic bags to Coke tins to bottles to everything, basically everything that you can walk out of your grocery shop with. You can drive really anywhere along the N56 here now and it's thrown out. And to be fair, matters would be a lot worse, to be fair now, and I genuinely mean this from the heart, and commend both our Tidy Towns committees and both Cloughaneely and Dunfanaghy and on to Creasler as well.
Absolutely.
And include Kavanagh that as well, that they do Trojan work like same as the people down Moville and all this. But look, there's no need for this. There's no need at all for it. As a councillor, I'll be up and down, as the same as my 5 colleagues are. We're up and down, crisscrossing every back road in the place at different days and different issues. And you're going places and you see entire takeaways through along the road, and you're going up the road where you're going to, it's heading to houses, and you're thinking, like, there's no need for this. Take the wrapping home with you wherever you're going and put it into your own bin at home.
And the really sad thing is, and I have seen this driving late at night, I have seen a car in front of me. I'm driving along, there's a car in front of me, and suddenly 2 fast food wrappers and a burger box and whatever just go flying out the window. And we know what happens is people buy their food in a town or village or wherever. They drive along eating the food, and then when they're finished, they just wind down the window and chuck it out. And it's somebody else's job to pick it up, and isn't that what the council is there for? And the one thing that does need to be said, Michael, and this needs absolutely to be said, is lack of facilities. And you said it yourself, and let's reinforce it. Lack of facilities is not an excuse to chuck it out the window or just to chuck it on the side of the road. That's not a reason to do so.
Not at all. No way. It's not at all, but I was totally taken back and shocked by the gentleman's attitude. Now, the gentleman was more than nice and everything else, and I said he said it in passing comment, but he said it at the same time with a joke with a sting. I would say he realised himself fine well before I was going to take the bag off before he said anything. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. But I took the bag off him to do the responsible thing, and I disposed of it then for him. But the whole point is here, the wider point is here on the general public and our investors and all alike, much as we welcome them all here, just be responsible when you're here. And, it's not hard to be responsible, because we go to other towns ourselves or villages or other countries, indeed either these days. We fully respect the laws there, and they should respect the laws here as well as their own residents as well. Yeah. We can't know it. It works 2 ways. Regardless who's driving the road, and there's plenty of motor cars and vehicles now at the minute. It's down to them all. But I accept the fact as well, we are falling down here as well in the Glenties area too, to be fair to all, that we don't have our own waste recycling plant or waste recycling facilities as well for your cardboard and plastic and so on. That is a drawback as well. I accept that. But it's still no excuse either. It's still no excuse putting down the screw and then the window throwing it out either.
But the really sad thing is, as we heard from Anna, one of the really sad things is there are people who will chuck stuff out windows, and they'll do so within 10 feet of a bin. So it isn't as though all of this is because there are no bins there. Sadly, there are some people, you could line up 10 lovely, bright, empty bins 15 feet away, and they'll still chuck it because they couldn't be bothered opening a door and walking that 12 feet.
That's the sad reality of it. I happened to be in a town one day myself. I was actually in a forecourt one day in a petrol court, going out to a shop, and outside there was this car but down the window, fired out his 2 bottles and a couple of sweet wrappers and drove off like on the forecourt, under view of cameras and everything else. I can't understand that mentality, to be honest with you. I cannot understand it, Donal.
Absolutely.
When people are thinking that way.
And we're also in the summer period now. Perhaps it's done, but it's always, as I recall, if I recall correctly, it's during sort of July and August that Tidy Towns judges are visiting areas, and you want the place to look its best, and you want the place to look its best all the time. It's not just a matter of putting on a good show for the tourists in July and August. You want your town to look the best 365 days a year, because it's where we live, it's our home. I mean, and we want our home to look as best it can. But you'd hate to think that the judging for Tidy Towns is going to be compromised because some some idiot can't, either put something into a bag or put it in a bin or bring it home with them and dispose of it there. A caller's just been in touch to say there's 2 big bags of rubbish dumped in the middle of the road at Upper Derry Reel, not so far away from yourself, and sadly that's something we see all too often.
It is, yeah, it is exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm. It is.
And even another worrying one, another caller saying, I was in a town in Donegal on Bank Holiday Monday. It was a disgrace. The street was covered in smashed glass. I had my grandchildren with me. I was terrified if they would fall because the place was filled with empty bottles and litters as well. I mean, it was bordering on dangerous, the caller says, and when you do have crowds, you do have, there can always be an accident, something can always fall, something can always break, but people, especially when it comes to glass posing a danger in public places like that, I mean, if glass falls and breaks, okay, it's an accident, that's grand, but that should be cleared immediately, and to leave glass lying around in a public place is unconscionable.
Well, it definitely is, but I think in fairness, on the glass end of it, in general, all throughout all area, not just our own county, as we're talking about today, our own towns, either villages, the glass situation is something that would need to be addressed. I know some businesses, and most businesses, do try their best, but I do think in the situation of letting bottles and glasses make their way out to the street is something that needs to be, there needs to be more regulation on, that it needs to be pushed more just for plastic containers, etc., that type of stuff, disposable containers, that avoids the situation of a glass or a bottle getting smashed or otherwise, or it is dangerous when you get glass out to the street in big crowds, and as you say, small children about, and even small children, adults, one thing another, and particularly here in the summertime as well. I notice particularly in Kavanagh here, where people go by the beach, some of them sort of type people in that in particular, swimmers alike, that they tend not to wear shoes, not so much about the town, that just you see them in Spain and that. Yeah. And that's where the dangers are there, because I found myself different days where I would have noticed glass broken wherever, outside the shop or outside the square. Just go immediately with brush and shovel and sweep it up. Don't leave it for somebody else. If you see it, go and sort it.
Absolutely.
And most people are liking that if they see it, like.
Yeah. Michael, thanks indeed for the call. It's something we do always need to keep an eye on. And look, I suppose the appeal to people is, look, just please be socially responsible, because I mean this is it's either your home or it's a place you're visiting, and if it's not your own home, it's somebody else's home. So just please treat it with that bit of respect.
Home, yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Just
Michael,
give the respect that everybody deserves. That's all anybody's asking for. Like, and just be sociable and be safe, and just watch what you think twice before you do what you're going to do.
Councillor McClafferty, the Cathaoirleach of the Glenties Municipal District, thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning. Now, we're going to move on. The main story of the morning, if you've been listening to Donna Marie on the news, is the data breach with the PSNI. Details of both police officers and civilian staff were mistakenly posted online for a period. It came, we understand, on the back of compliance with the Freedom of Information request. Now, SDLP MLA Mark H. Durkin is that party's policing spokesperson, and he joins us. Mark, good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal.
Mark, you believe that it's incumbent now on the Chief Constable to make a statement on this as quickly as possible?
Yeah, well, the scale of this data breach is alarming, Donal, and its consequences could potentially be immense. So many fundamental questions arise for the Chief Constable and others. But first and of the greatest importance is the safety of officers, staff and their families, and there'll understandably be huge concerns around the police service, around police staff and around the wider community today. So I think the PSNI, the board and the government indeed must provide answers and reassurance as soon as possible, and that's the first and primary duty, I think, of our special board meeting, emergency board meeting that's been convened for tomorrow morning. Yeah. But secondly, we have to establish how something so damaging could ever happen. I mean, there has to be accountability by the PSNI as to how this happened, how it could happen, what fail-safes were in place or weren't in place to avoid something like this happening, and what urgent actions are being taken to ensure that there could never be any repeat of something like this.
The PSNI's initial statement suggested that this was a matter of human error, and the people who were working on this were acting in good faith, but an error was made, and then when that error was noted and realised, this material was taken down immediately. But it seems this material was online for up to perhaps 3.5 hours.
Yeah, well, everyone can make a mistake, or anyone can make one, and everyone does make mistakes. Human error is something that can't be eradicated, but that's why systems are in place, or should be in place, to catch human error and prevent something like this happening. So there's been system error as well as human error, and that's why we have to establish what the system is, how it has failed, and what can be done to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. In terms of the information that was out there, this is the names, the ranks, and where police staff and police civilian staff are based. Many people have gone to great lengths to actually keep that information confidential. There still is a huge risk attached to being a police officer, unfortunately. We've seen how it's actually impacted upon recruitment here, which is something that's extremely worrying, and something like this won't do much to instill greater faith in the PSNI either.
Do we know how extensively this was accessed? We understand that a relative of a serving police officer made contact with a newspaper, the Belfast Telegraph, if I'm correct, and that's how this sort of came into the public domain, as it were. But do we know how many people accessed this information when it was online, and what the potential spread of the information in the public domain was?
Well, I've outlined what the information was. It was names of officers, their ranks, and where they are based. You've alluded to the fact that it was out there for a few hours, but as of yet I've no clarity, or board members haven't received any information as to how many people or who was able to access it over that time. I mean, it was in the public domain, on the public website, so God knows how many people could have seen it, and God knows who could have seen it if this information fell into the wrong hands. It could be extremely dangerous for individual police officers and for the North as a whole.
Presumably that's the sort of information you and your colleagues on the board will be seeking from senior PSNI officers when you have that meeting tomorrow.
Absolutely, and while the police are saying that this was down to human error, we will be drilling down further into that, like how many sets of eyes did this have to go past, and clearly there has been an error in the system here. Hopefully it's not as costly or as catastrophic as it potentially could have been.
Mark H. Durkin, SDLP MLA and party policing spokesperson, thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Okay, Donal, thank you.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. That's Mark Durkin there speaking to us on that data breach, and those investigations are continuing. And as you heard there, that meeting of the policing board taking place tomorrow, and Mr. Durkin and others will be seeking information. Now, we are going to be speaking to Pat McCart, a former editor of the Derry Journal and a columnist with the Irish Daily Mirror as well, in just a moment. Going to take a short break. Back in a bit when we'll be speaking to Pat McCart about both the data breach as well, and also we'll be speaking about the Derry City Council. We thought it was finished in May. Perhaps not. Don't go away.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Do you have your ticket yet?
€2,500 every Friday.
Plus a chance to win big.
10,000 cash money.
Get your ticket today. Go to highlandradio.com.
Summer's just got better.
Ooh.
Michael Henney's summer sale has just gotten bigger and better. Don't miss out on amazing offers with up to 50% now off fashion, kids, home, jewellery and cosmetics. Shop our summer sale in-store at Michael Henney's department store Ballybuffet or online at michaelhenneys.com.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption. Say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
There's 25% off all clothing at F&F until Sunday, 13th of August with your Tesco Club card or app. That's 25% off everyday essentials, so you can be ready for whatever the weather brings. Now that's worth popping in for. F&F, fashion at Tesco. Products subject to availability. Available in the majority of larger stores.
And welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Now we're going to go to Zoom, where we are joined by Pat McCart. He's a columnist with the Irish Daily Mirror and, of course, a former editor of the Derry Journal. Pat, good morning.
Morning. Donal, how are you?
Very well indeed. Pat, we're going to go to the main topic of our conversation in just a moment, but obviously as a news junkie with a particular interest in things happening in this part of the world, you'll have been watching with interest that data breach, the PSNI breach, that details of which emerged this morning.
Donal, that's a really serious one, because apparently it was up for several hours. I don't know how true that is. It's still sort of an evolving story. But, it's Northern Ireland, and I would presume this morning, if you're a serving police officer and your name, address, function, and various other bits of information, your data has been up on a website for several hours, I would think you'd be very, very nervous. And the other thing about it, Donald, is a lot of people who are serving police officers, don't put on the uniform when they're leaving for work in the morning and take it off before they get home. And their neighbours think they're going off to be a civil servant or something and don't realise it. So a lot of people can now suddenly say, oh, jeepers, the guy living next door to me is a cop, sort of thing. And that's got big implications for everybody.
I don't believe the information included home addresses. I think the only personal information was surname and first initial. So it would have just said, as I understand it would have been Kavanagh D. Constable.
Yeah,
Maherfield
I was reading
Station.
a wee bit there, Donald. It seems a wee bit confused. I think you could be right, but earlier claims were suggesting it was much. No, I'm not certain about this.
Yeah.
It's just what I've read on various places. The Nolan show and your rival on BBC are, I think, leading with it this morning. But there was a suggestion that there was other for a certain time. Now, Dunless is totally up for. As I said earlier, it's evolving.
I know there was some suggestion that there may have been, there was a spreadsheet and there may have been a second tab on the spreadsheet. Now, whether or not that was accessible,
that
may be
you can
questionable.
deduce the information from what the information are, the addresses from the information that was up.
Yep. Right. Pat, we want to talk, the main thing we want to talk about this morning, obviously, is the discussion on the recount that's taking place in Derry. We know the Alliance Party were hoping to make gains and didn't make gains elsewhere, but they actually lost out in Derry. And it transpired that while Philip McKinney lost his seat by 48 votes, there was something in the region of 150 transfers that were actually left to one side and weren't included in that count. This is potentially going to change the face of Derry City Council to an extent.
Yeah, by the way, Donald, there's a guy called John Cartwright. I don't know if you've ever heard the term a cephalologist. He's one of these guys who, he's an English guy who apparently goes through election results, whatever rocks your boat. But anyway, he apparently after the election, he was looking through the results and he figured out, wait a minute, there's this guy's lost seat by 49 votes, but there was 150 odd votes to be counted. So what went on there? He got in touch with the councillors concerned in the Waterside area of Derry, and he also, as far as I know, got in touch with Naomi Long, the leader of the Alliance Party, and they got in touch with both the council and the Northern Ireland Electoral Office, and both of which confirmed there had been a mistake. And then they decided they would go for a High Court challenge to the results. So it's not, by the way, Donald, it's a fine line. They said it's not a recount, it's a continuation of the count. Now, what the difference is, I don't know. But anyway, I'll leave you to work that one out.
I'm presuming, does continuation of the count then mean that what they're effectively going to do is they're going to take the figures they had at the time that Martin Riley was deemed elected and Philip McKinney was deemed eliminated, and they're effectively going to take this 150 votes that weren't, and they're just going to count them and add them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, they will not declare any result this evening. They will make it known to the court, and the court will decide who has won the election. So Martin Reilly could have a very nervous few days because it depends on what way the votes go. But anyway, the big thing for the Alliance Party, as you pointed out earlier, Donald, the Alliance Party has been seen for many, many years as sort of soft unionist, and it's basically a Belfast-based area, east of the Ban type party. And it was very important in the last elections that they retained their seats. Derry is the cradle of the civil rights. It's a very known as a national city. It's always been the SDLP and Sinn Féin in Derry. And for Alliance at the last election, Rachel Ferguson, I was actually there. Apparently Rachel Ferguson, she got elected for Alliance. Apparently she went along to, and this was in 2018, she went along to a meeting of the Alliance Party to discuss it. The election strategy, and she ended up the candidate. That's how desperate they were for someone. And this guy, Philip McKinney, he was very popular and all the rest. So I think he's lost by 49 votes, and there was 150. So now what the Alliance Party want, symbolically, it was very important for them to be seen, have candidates right across the north. And at the last election there in May, they got new seats in Ballyclare, Fermanagh and Limavady, which they seen as a breakthrough. And to lose two in Derry was sort of, what would you say? It was not good for their sort of image. They want to be seen as all over the north. They want to be seen as not just a Belfast-centric party. So that's why symbolically, and they want to be seen. If they can get the seat back for Philip McKinney, it would be considered quite a coup for them.
Do we know whose votes they are? Do we know where those 150 votes have come from? Because, I mean, obviously it will be important potentially, in maybe discerning if they had come from an SDLP candidate, for instance, would that benefit Martin Reilly? If they'd come from a unionist candidate, theoretically, could that benefit Philip McKinney? Do we know where the votes are from?
I think, as far as I remember, they came from a DUP candidate who had been elected.
Yeah.
So they could go anywhere, Now, Martin Reilly is a very sort of middle of the road, well respected SDLP man, so I wouldn't rule it out any which way. What way they go? But as far as I remember, it was on the election of a DUP candidate that the 150 votes came about.
Yeah, if I recall, he was mayor just 3-4 years ago. If I recall, Martin Reilly, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. He's a very decent and anybody would meet him, very personable guy. So he's quite capable of picking up votes any which way. But anyway, the count has been reordered by the court, Donald, and it starts at 10 o'clock. Well, it started, I think, at 10 o'clock this morning in the Foyle Arena. But it'll probably finish today, seeing it's only, 150.
Well, if it is 150, I mean, and presumably every one of those is going to be scrutinised to within an inch of its life. And there'll be our personation officers, well, not personation officers, but our party officials allowed in to view. I presume they have to be allowed in to view the process.
Has to be, it's all part of the democratic process. Donald, you're 100% right. It's an unusual one, Donald, in the sense that very rarely do you come across someone like this. Like, I've been at elections in North and South for years, and I've never come across anything like this. Now, I have to say, in places like Donegal and various other places in the Republic, they're so used to PR elections that they rarely make mistakes. But I have seen a couple of challenges at elections in the North. PR, it's first past the post in the North since 1921. And they don't really. It's only in recent times that the PR elections have been introduced. They do seem to make an odd error.
The other thing, I suppose, in the Republic as well, and people talk about legendary machines like the Blaney machine. I mean, not a hair is going to be out of place if the Blaney machine and the old the Bernard Lynchy machine with Fianna Fáil, when those heavy hitters and they're still about, when they're on the count floor, they understand that process probably better than the council organisers themselves, and they will make absolutely damn sure nothing is out of place. As a young
reporter, I went to an election, I think, about 1974. And I remember sitting there, and I hadn't a notion, not a clue what was going on. And I remember this Blaney guy told me exactly how many votes everybody had got. And see, by the end of when the official count, I think he was about 2 out or something like that. It was ridiculous. He had got it spot on. Those people could hear the grass grow when it came to elections.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it'll be, we presume there will be some form of an interim resolution, shall we call it, today. But as you say, that goes before the court. That will not, I presume, be made public in any way, shape or form, so we won't have any idea, unless, of course, the party people themselves start to leak it, which may well happen, but certainly no official declaration is going to be made.
Exactly. But you see the thing, Donald, the last election, Sinn Féin, they just they got 1 in every 3 votes. They went up from what was the 105 seats to 144. They were 22 ahead of the DUP. The Alliance Party, I think, they got up. Were up from 52 to 67. So the Alliance Party, all this is, they want to be seen to be moving forward all the time. That's why it's so important to them. The Alliance Party a couple of years back, Donald couldn't get elected, in their own house. Now they're very much at the third leg of the stool, and they want to be seen. And it's important for them to be seen to be moving forward all the time. And the last European elections too, Donald, as you remember, Naomi Long was very, very successful. It used to be it was a binary choice. You voted Protestant and Unionist or Catholic and Nationalist. The Alliance Party now see themselves as a third option, and they are growing, and that's why this is important to them.
Even thinking in terms of, say, the lifetime that I've been working here in this job, and I've been covering politics. I mean, the difference between sort of John Alderdice would have been the Alliance leader when I started, and the difference even in attitude and in the way they act in Stormont between Alderdice and Naomi Long is huge. I mean, she's a very effective opposition person who will, if she's opposing something, she'll oppose it with vigour, and she certainly doesn't sort of sit in any party line or any religious line. And there's a big difference, and she's been bringing in those votes, and she's maybe the future of Alliance.
Absolutely. Donald, what's happened is the Alliance Party have tapped into that sort of, I grew up in an era, as you well know, when I was in Derry, the first conversation you had with somebody was to work out are they a Catholic or a Protestant. Nowadays, there's so many young people. The Republic has changed beyond measure, as we've seen with the recent passing of Sinead O'Connor, and the North has changed dramatically. Yeah, if you go to Belfast now, when I went to Belfast years ago, I remember everything was shut after about 5 o'clock in the evening. Belfast is buzzing. There's a lot of young people. They meet socially. They don't care whether they're Catholic, Protestant, and Hindu. They brought in, if you look at around Letterkenny and you look at around Derry, they're Polish people, they're Ukrainians, they're people of colour. Our society is changing big time. And, the old sectarian head count, that's disappearing. And so much is changing that I'm not sure the political parties have got a total handle on what's happening. And I know the DUP, I think, are sort of a wee bit hidebound, and they're finding this change very, very difficult. And Alliance are riding this particular horse and riding it very, very well.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Do we have any indication from the course? And I suppose really you can't get an indication from the course, but we don't know when some form of official declaration can be expected.
Apparently, Donald, if I'm reading it right, it's the court's going to make the determination, not the politicians.
And the courts will do so in its own good time.
If it's decided that this guy has got the votes, he will be deemed elected, and I would presume Martin Reilly will lose the seat.
We will watch with interest. Pat McCarthy, thanks indeed for speaking to us.
All the best, Donald.
You too, Pat. Take care. That's Pat McCarthy there, as we said, a journalist with the columnist with the Irish Daily Mirror and a former editor of the Derry Journal. Let's just take a look at a few of your comments before we go to a break. Caller says the toilet facilities in Bundoran are absolutely appalling. It's a very busy area with a lot of tourists. If the council can charge for the use of the car park, the least they could do is put in flushable, functioning toilet facilities for people. I drove to Mayo over the weekend and back. Didn't see a single Garda checkpoint. So much for a road safety message over the weekend. Caller says the hypocrisy in this country is unreal. All the praise and accolades being poured on Sinead O'Connor now that she's left this mortal coil, while she was ridiculed and vilified in her lifetime. Perhaps if people had been as kind and generous to her while she was alive, she would still be here today. Another caller says the next time Uisce Éireann talks about hosepipe bans or water conservation, ask them why the burst main, which is causing a river of water to run through Ashlawn in Letterkenny, hasn't been dealt with since it was reported to them at 3 o'clock yesterday. And another caller says people who throw litter in the countrysides are cowards because they normally throw it where there are no houses. That's a comment from a caller. It's at 9:49, time for a short break. Back after these.
The calendar says it's summer. The weather, when it's in the mood. But the question is it really summer without a trip to Croke Park? With the GAA Museum and Tours, you can still get here. Go backstage with our inspiring stadium tour, experience breathtaking views on the Kellogg's Skyline Tour, and explore our national treasures at the GAA Museum. Book now at crokepark.ie/tours. The GAA Museum and Tours. Discover the heart of who we are.
Curtains at Foy & Company, Letterkenny. Complete any room with our elegant and exquisite range of curtains designed to elevate your windows with sheer beauty. Whether you prefer classic patterns or contemporary designs, our curtain collection offers endless possibilities to complement your interior decor. Let our expert staff assist you in creating the living space you've always dreamed of. Call in and get a free interior design consultation this month at Foy & Company, Letterkenny.
If you need advice on what's best for coughs or colds, or what's best for sore throats or flu, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. If you need advice on the best vitamins and tonics to put a pep in your step, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Whether it's about backaches, headaches or tummy aches, your Brennan's Pharmacy team can help. If you need advice from someone you trust, we're here for you at your local Brennan's Pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslow.
The Cope Dunlow have a number of vacancies for full-time, part-time and family-friendly hours. Positions are available in the Cope Deli and Cafe or the builders providers for sales assistants and sales rep. Forward your CV to careers@thecope.ie for careers opportunities today.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
And a very good morning to Audrey and to Tom, who are watching us live this morning. Tom in Tripoli in Libya, of all places. And you too can watch us live on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, and on our Facebook pages as well. Now, there are fresh calls to postpone raising toll charges. Tolls are due to go up again on Irish roads at the start of next year after a hike last month. And if that wasn't bad enough, road charges from Northern Ireland to the Republic of €10 per visit are also adding to the costs faced by hauliers. Joined by Eugene Drennan, who is president of the Irish Road Haulage Association. Eugene, good morning.
Good morning to you, Donal.
Now, we've been speaking obviously to our own local hauliers, and they've been giving us their perspective. And as you can imagine, in Donegal, some hauliers crossing the border multiple times a day. So that 10, and it's not 10, it's 10 sterling, if I'm correct, actually.
£10.
It's £10 sterling, yeah, sorry. I apologies for that. And, you know, that it's really biting in, particularly in Donegal. So, I mean, you know, if that wasn't bad enough, the toll is going up again on the motorways.
Yes, indeed, and they've just gone up recently. And the excuse or the reason for the last increase was because of inflation. But inflation has come down now, so do we get that increase back? These toll roads and their concept originally, you know, to try and get infrastructure into Ireland, but they really got a very good contract. And they are now owned by multinational banks. They're doing quite well, and that have a contract with a guarantee from the state that should they lose money on the toll road, the state will pick up the loss, or to a degree the guaranteed price. So they've had a very, very good run with us. And two increases in a short period of time, unnecessary and not at a time of very high cost. With all the upset we've come through with Brexit, with the COVID, with Brexit, with trying to keep a competitive edge. Donegal is a border county to a degree, and the survival rate and trying to keep a competitive edge and keep a business going is very difficult. And though you may see many limited companies or big names up on trucks and on the sides of trucks, and haulage companies who've worked very hard, it's a family that's behind them. They're family businesses. Great names of Donegal, from the Glinties like Boyle or from Inishowen like Doherty. They are the people who've worked very hard to keep this going. And we need to keep our competitive edge and keep it alive, especially along border counties.
One interesting thing I found last year, my wife and I were in Norway, and we did one or two tours that involved going through long roads which had been tunnelled through mountains over the past 20 to 30 years. And in both cases, in particular, one around Allison's and the other around Molde, we were speaking to the drivers, and the drivers told us that those roads used to be tolled. But the deal was made between the company that built the road and the Norwegian government that they would put a toll up and the company would administer it, and they would keep going until the road was paid for and a certain amount of profit had been made, and then the tolls would stop. And those figures were agreed, and in both cases the toll had finished 2 to 3 years ahead of schedule because it had made the money and paid for the road. It seems to me when you look at things like the M50 and the M1 and other roads around this country, they've been paid for 4, 5, 6 and 7 times over.
Yes, that is very relevant, Donal, because the logic you've just spoken about, if you come to anybody with a reasonable fair play and reasonable logic to your argument, they'll buy into it, they'll try and, work with you until such time as the toll road and they have the infrastructure is paid for. But just what you said, the Eastlink Bridge and the M50 paid for a long, long time, and we're still paying for it. The other aspect of that, of course, Norway, in fairness to Ireland, Norway's a very wealthy company from Ireland, perhaps they can do a little bit better that way. But the concept is correct in what you're saying, and that when paid for, it should be free. The other aspect of it is, we in the haulage sector are part of the supply chain. And when we're told and when we're taxed in our earnings, when we're taxed very heavily through what we put into the tank in the fuel, the excise and the level of taxation in fuel, since the downturn of 2008 has increased considerably here, and we pay massive taxation through our fuel costs, and then we're charged yet again for using the road to get the goods to the people. That's about triple taxation on the citizens, and it's about double on us. So the balance, and even though all of this has come up now because of there's a subcommittee reporting to the Minister on taxation and the Welfare Commission on how we do our charging and how we charge for industry, for energy. So, and within that, to speak about, and the recommendations of the Minister for Transport is a just transition and a phased basis. So we would need both, and we would need to see both. And for those in the supply chain and in this very competitive sector that is really, really still challenged by Brexit and by the cost of Brexit and trying to do trade either in out of Northern Ireland or in out of the UK, there's only so much we can take, and we are paying at the top rate for a long time.
Have you any confidence that the budget will see these toll increases deferred? The campaign is on, obviously. You and a lot of other organisations making pre-budget submissions at the moment. Are you hopeful you will be successful in getting this at least deferred?
I don't know about hopeful on the deferred. I think we are hopeful on the deferment because Minister Jack Chambers has sort of come out and said that, and we saw something about rail freight from the Taoiseach the other day which said, hang on, enough is enough, we do this by phased basis. We are preparing a very big pre-budget submission, and other issues have to be addressed. The cost of the additives to fuel, the bio and the HVO, which were part of the additives, are all increased commodity on the world market, which are double and nearly 3 times the cost of diesel. So on top of that, we can't be paying a NORA surcharge or a storage charge. We cannot be paying carbon tax on the non-fossil fuel or the non-mineral part of the fuel. We have to look at the balance in the overall.
Eugene Drennan of the Irish Road Hauliers Association, president of that organisation. Indeed, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning. It's a minute and a half to 10 o'clock. Donna Marie coming up with the news and obituary notices, and we will see you for the second hour after that.
An lá sira is far riamh. Ein tailach awan. Shaska nóméid on Malia. Céad acra de Gardini ália. Cera cheist fui anam na ground. Truck an nóméid don picnic heilig. Seacht slán an isce in séite. Sé flesht builig. Cúig de goira criúil. Ein lá do chredta awan. Agric an lá sira is far a vega gut riamh ag discoverireland.ie agus buintanamh sira in ein lá awan. A chur fáil ag fáilte Ireland.
Get a great Clarence gift this week from McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Buy 2 Clarence skincare products, one to be moisturiser or serum, and you'll get a choice of 3 treat-sized essentials from a selection of 10. Which 3 will you choose? This great Clarence offer is available while stocks last, in-store at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less. For any skincare advice, call in and talk to the resident skincare consultants, Mary or Gemma.
Attention one and all, Easy Living Furniture is turning 25 and we're celebrating with an amazing anniversary sale. So join us for our biggest sale ever with all-time lows on top quality furniture. This is our way of saying thank you for 25 years of support. Easy Living Furniture's 25th anniversary sale is now on. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Easy Living Furniture, making homes great since 1998.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news in full at 10 o'clock. Reports were made last night regarding a potential suspicious device at Letterkenny University Hospital at around 11:30. Gardaí attended the scene. They say after a search of the area, nothing untoward was found. A second night of what police have called serious and sinister incidents has taken place in Gallia, Derry last night. It's seen shots fired, cars stoned and a fence set on fire. Tara Duggan reports.
The PSNI in Derry are again appealing for information following another night of disorder. Shots were reported to have been fired in the Glen Gallia Park area between midnight and 1 a.m, while a number of cars were stoned on Moss Road in Shantallow. As well as this, a fence was set alight in Glendale Park and a bus was damaged near Sleevemore roundabout. At around 11 p.m. last night, a man was hijacked. Two men opened his car door and assaulted him. It's believed his car was set ablaze on the green in Gallia. Derry City and Strabane Area Commander, Chief Superintendent Nigel Goddard, condemned the acts, saying they only cause fear, distress and trauma to those impacted. He added inquiries are ongoing and those who believe they have information or video footage should get in touch.
A major data breach has resulted in information about every single PSNI officer and staff member being put into the public domain. The information, which included surnames, initials, ranks, work locations and departments, was temporarily put online in response to a Freedom of Information request. The Police Service of Northern Ireland has apologised for the self-inflicted security breach. Liam Kelly from the Police Federation says it's not good enough.
The men and women of the PSNI that I represent are appalled by this breach. They're shocked and justifiably angry. They want the PSNI to be very clear about what support they're going to put in for them and their families so they can limit the damage caused by this data breach and protect their identities.
Plans are in motion to establish a community first responder group in Buncrana. A public meeting is being held next week. Michaela Clark has more.
The establishment of a community first responder group has been proposed to cover the general Buncrana area as well as Fawn, Illies, Dumfries and Desert Tegney. The purpose of the group is to train volunteers to attend certain types of emergency calls in Buncrana and surrounding areas. Their aim is to reach a potential life-threatening emergency in the first vital minutes before the ambulance crew arrives and provide the appropriate care, including CPR and defibrillation, until the more highly skilled ambulance crew arrives on the scene to take over the treatment. No previous experience is required for interested parties and full training will be provided. Roddy Smith, an advanced paramedic with the National Ambulance Service, Newton Cunningham CF4 and Irish Red Cross will be a guest speaker at the public meeting, which is due to take place on Monday, August the 21st at 8 p.m. in the Lake of Shadows Hotel, Buncrana.
Talks to explore ways of restoring the Stormont Assembly will continue in Belfast today. The Taoiseach Leo Varadkar is heading north to meet political parties and representatives from business and civil society, including the Ulster GAA Council and Women in Business. Ken Murray has more.
15 months on from last year's Assembly elections, the Democratic Unionist Party is still refusing to sit in Stormont with Sinn Féin. It says the British government has failed to meet its 7 demands to address the free movement of goods between GB and NI. Today, Leo Varadkar heads to Belfast. He will talk with party leaders Michelle O'Neill, Jeffrey Donaldson, Doug Beattie, Matthew O'Toole and Naomi Long. With reported division in the DUP over calls to resume Stormont, signs are emerging that the British and Irish governments are becoming increasingly impatient. Leo Varadkar will also visit Linfield FC, a soccer team whose support comes from the loyalist community, a visit that was unthinkable 30 years ago.
Now looking to weather, mostly cloudy but sunny spells will slowly break through in the afternoon and evening, staying mostly dry apart from isolated showers, highest temperatures of 17 to 19 degrees and a light south or variable breeze. That's all for now. The next news update is at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices this Wednesday morning, August 9th. The death has taken place of Rosemary Toland ní Doherty of Largan Ray. Her remains will be removed from the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest Mountaintop Letterkenny today at 5 p.m, going to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrigart, to repose overnight. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Meva Parish Facebook page. The death has occurred of Sadie Gillespie ní McCall, Braj, Kincasla. Her remains are reposing at her own home in Braj. Funeral Mass on tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagry. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. until 10 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. The death has taken place of Colm Devaney, 4 Rose Court, Buncrana. Remains reposing at McLaughlin's Funeral Home, Buncrana today from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. Removal from there at 10:20 a.m. tomorrow morning, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Della Bradley, Gort Larry, Carndonagh. Remains reposing at her late residence. Removal from there on Friday morning at 10:30 a.m, going to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Conor McGinley, 2 Key Road, Drumbairn, Milford, reposing at his home. Funeral Mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Peter's Church, Milford. Burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. House strictly private from 10 p.m. and on the morning of the funeral tomorrow. The death has occurred of Kathleen Carlin ní Douglas, 16 Aherlocher Road, Killeater, Castlederg, reposing at the family home. Funeral from the family home tomorrow morning at 11:20 a.m. for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Patrick's Church, Ahiarn. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. Family time tonight please from 11 p.m. and before the funeral tomorrow. The death has taken place of John McGinley, Ardravin House, Swilly Road, Buncrana. Remains reposing at his residence. Funeral currently taking place in St Mary's Oratory, with burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to the Irish Lung Fibrosis Association, care of any family member or McLaughlin's funeral directors. The funeral mass can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Lucky you dealing with me, the car and home insurance miser. Now listen, Kilser, I got a great deal for you today. Not as good as the deal I got in my new driveway.
Why is it this hard to save a bit of money on simple car or home insurance?
Well, getting a quote from An Post Insurance is never this hard. For car and home insurance that's a little more human, call 0818 22 2222 or visit onpostinsurance.ie.
The driveway's going to win a prize, man.
Acceptance criteria, terms, conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as An Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Home insurance underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Best prices online.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Donal Kavanagh with you on the show until 12 noon. 086 60 25,000 for your text or WhatsApp messages. 074 91 25,000 if you want to call us. Caroline producing and taking your calls, and Niamh taking your calls this morning as well. It's at Highland Radio on Twitter. It's Highland Hub on Facebook, on the other social media platforms as well. Comments at Highland Radio if you prefer to use email. Now, let's look at our competition, because Heritage Week is coming up from this coming Saturday, and we have a competition that will allow you win one of 2 special vouchers worth in the region of €90. And those vouchers will give you access to several heritage sites right across the country. Heritage Week happening in Donegal and across Ireland from the 12th to the 20th of August. You can create your own personalised schedule of events by going to heritageweek.ie and clicking on My Heritage Trail. That will allow you to celebrate the traditions, skills and practices that have passed down through generations. Now, I'm going to give you 3 clues, and I want you to figure out where in Donegal I am talking about. It's a building, and I want you to tell me where and what that building is. Clue number 1. I'm located on the diamond in Donegal's capital. I'm located on the diamond in Donegal's capital. Clue number 2. I used to incarcerate people. Clue number 2. I used to incarcerate people. And clue number 3. I am now a visitor centre, but I've kept my old name. I am now a visitor centre, but I have kept my old name. Those 3 clues point to a building in Donegal. Please tell me what that building is. We'll repeat the clues a little bit later on. Now, Donegal County Council removed bottle banks from Letchermack Ward that were badly needed. They were replaced by a seat on the concrete base that was put there for the bottle banks. No one ever uses the seat. We want our bottle banks back. They are missed. Cora says, good morning. I was up in Movale doing the lovely coastal walk to Greencastle and couldn't help noticing the bins were overflowing, so it may not be a bad idea to empty them more often, and thanks to Martin for that comment. Cora says, Donal, I walk down from work in Letterkenny a lot of mornings and I often meet you out walking, and yes, I would walk quite a bit now. I didn't the past couple of weeks walk as much because I had a little bit of a hamstring issue, but yeah, I would be out walking a fair bit. Sometimes I might be looking for a bin to put something in, but there is not one bin between the Optimum roundabout and the main street. There may be one at Max Mace, but other than that, there is nothing. You meet so many people now with cups in their hands. All these cups have to be dumped somewhere. I actually agree with that, because there is a shortage of just public bins in places, and I think some bins were taken away during COVID and were never replaced, if I'm correct in saying that. For instance, I would often chew gum while walking in the mornings, and one of my habits was I would dispose of my gum halfway through the walk, and one of my walks would take me sort of down through town and up out the Neil T. Blaney Road, and then I would walk sort of past the Mount Errigal heading for Ballyrain, and there used to be a bin there on the corner just by the Polestar roundabout, and that bin was taken away. So the choice was either go in and actually walk into the hotel itself and put the chewing gum into one of the sort of the large ashtray stroke bins outside the hotel, or what I started doing was just keeping a piece of kitchen towel in my pocket and just wrapping the used gum in the kitchen towel and then sort of putting it in the bin when I got home. But yeah, certainly there is a shortage of bins around Letterkenny. Absolutely, I would agree with that. And speaking of walking, actually, just most people with fitness trackers are aiming to do 10,000 steps a day, but it's been claimed just 4,000 could be enough to cut the risk of dying early. A study says walking that number of steps daily can cut the risk of death from any cause. It also found the chance of dying from cardiovascular disease decreases significantly with every 500 to 1,000 extra steps. And indeed, yeah, I am one of these people that does actually wear a stepometer, and I'm just looking at my steps for today, and yeah, I do have considerably more than 4,000 so far. So yeah, happy days. So if you're doing your steps, a little walking, and it doesn't have to be 8, 9, 10 kilometres a day. It doesn't have to be 20,000 steps every day. I mean, over 4,000 steps a day can have very good benefits. Oxford University scientists now are saying there is no evidence to suggest that using Facebook is bad for our well-being, despite claims the social media giant is linked to psychological harm. In the largest study of its kind, researchers say they found the opposite. It's after they analysed data from nearly 1 million people across 72 countries over 12 years from 2008. Now, I've said this before, my take on Facebook is very, very simple. I treat Facebook like the pub on a Saturday night. It's where I meet people and I talk rubbish about music and I have a bit of crack. Anything I read on Facebook I take as seriously as I would take in general conversation in a pub on a Saturday night. in which some people may have a bit of drink taken. So anything I read on Facebook, I take with the same level of seriousness and the same level of veracity that I would take what I hear in a pub on a Saturday night. And conversely, I will say nothing on Facebook that I would not say in general company in a pub on a Saturday night. And that's kind of the way I sort of treat Facebook. It's great crack. Crack is what it is. It is not a substitute for life. Caller, we were speaking yesterday to Noel Cunningham about the Donegal Camino, and a caller got in touch afterwards to ask if the walks are wheelchair friendly. Now, the response we got back from Donegal Camino are, parts of the route are wheelchair friendly. Some parts may be difficult, and you can contact the organiser to see which part of the route suits you. Remember, if you want to do the Donegal Camino, you can do part of the route. You don't have to do every step of it, and it may well be that a lot of it will be suitable, parts of it may not be, and it's absolutely fine to cherry pick the parts that you can handle. But certainly donegalcamino.ie is the webpage, and I've no doubt the organisers of the Camino would be more than happy to speak to you. Now, it's 16 minutes past 10, which means it is time for Highland Radio NCBI Bingo. So if you play Highland Radio NCBI Bingo, grab your books, grab your pens, and we will hand you over to Canis.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 9th of August. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S18. It's game number 32. The numbers are 81, 71, 69, 90, 29, 59, 87, 54, 86, and finally 68. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Nutrius Winling Crunch is now on offer at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags of Nutrius Winling Crunch ATP, get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. Contact your local Homeland store or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
It's the home of the vegan butchers, the artisan bakers, the freestyle lyricists, and the trouser suit striders. It's the urban jungle, where the everyday meets the latest wave. And you could see it all from your Seat SUV. From the sharp lines and smart style of the Arona to the bold and beautiful Ateca. And if size is your thing, the Tarraco comes as a 7-seater. See what's in store at seat.ie for our latest offers. And visit DMG Motors, Claw Road, Donegal Town. Because your new Seat is just waiting to see what's next.
Tonight at the 54th Clonmany Festival, it's Derek Ryan. Tomorrow, Thursday, it's Nathan Carter. Log on to clonmanyfestival.com for a full programme.
The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio, 18.5 minutes past 10 o'clock. Now, I am going to let you into a little trade secret. When you work in a newsroom in the months of July and August, it can be difficult. You don't necessarily have council meetings, you don't have the Dáil sitting, you don't have courts. There's a lot of organisations are scaling back, people are on holiday, you're not getting as much news coming from there. So getting news and filling news bulletins can be a little bit difficult at times in August. However, in Donegal we have a secret weapon every August, because in Donegal, in Glenties, we have the McGill Summer School. And the McGill Summer School always ensures that at least for that week and for the week before and the week after, you're going to have a good supply of news and a good supply of comments and expert speakers to report on. And for that blessing, we have to thank Dr. Joe Mulholland. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed. And I am sure, Joe, as someone who's worked in news for decades yourself in your previous life, as it were, you'll know all too well the difficulty
indeed.
sometimes in finding news in August.
I'm afraid I go back a long way.
Indeed.
More than you do, probably, Donal.
A little bit more, but not as much as I would like to think, I think is the correct answer to that one somehow, Joe.
Anyway, look, we'd better pass on that subject.
Absolutely. The McGill Summer School, Joe, it's become an absolute integral part of the summer in Donegal. The idea of a summer in Donegal without the McGill Summer School is pretty much at this stage unthinkable.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that is so, and I think it is so. But it has become the same for quite a lot of people throughout Ireland. It's amazing the people down as far as Cork and obviously Dublin and so on. It's amazing how they don't want to miss the McGill. And this always amazes me. I suppose it's the combination of going to Donegal, seeing its beauty, and then having something else to occupy the mind as well. So it's kind of serving the mind and body, I suppose.
One of the things you've managed to do with the McGill Summer School over the years is created a bond between the school and Donegal to the extent that you can't have the one without the other as such, because there are many summer schools which are effectively international symposiums, international and national discussions. Where they take place geographically is neither here nor there, and they're just discussions that happen to be taking place somewhere. Whereas with McGill, Glenties and Donegal are an integral part of the McGill Summer School, and you couldn't think about taking McGill and saying, look, this year we're going to hold McGill in Castlebar instead of Glenties. That just would be unthinkable.
Yeah, no, the question has arisen from time to time because, Glenties is a small place. You do have some problems of accommodation and so on. And the question has arisen, should we change, not outside of Donegal, but somewhere else in Donegal? But that, I've always resisted that. And because McGill is associated with Patrick McGill, we sometimes forget. And he's the author who lived down the road from Glenties and wrote those wonderful books such as Children of the Dead End and The Rat Pit and so on. So we've always resisted that. But this year in particular, of course, we face particular difficulties of accommodation above all because of I suppose our friends from Ukraine having to move in and fair dues to them, and they're very welcome. But it has created a little bit of extra effort. But we're managing. There's plenty of people who have bed and breakfast. They don't do it all the time, but they might do it for McGill, that kind of thing.
As ever, a panel of speakers that is formidable. I see Mairead McGuinness, Brendan Boyle, the US Congressman, Pat Cox. We have the Deputy Prime Minister of the government of Ukraine. We have the Ukrainian ambassador, the Polish ambassador. We've a retired senior colonel from China, which should be fascinating. Tony Connolly,
yes,
Tony Gorman as well.
A very interesting guy indeed, Donal. He's obviously a true blue. A true blue, if that exists for China. Mm-hmm. A true blue Chinese man. He fought in the war earlier on in his career. He's very well got with the authorities in China, but he does these lectures, and he has lectured in other parts of the world, and this year he will lecture in Glentis, and will in fact have to tell us or explain why China has not rolled in with other powers to say that Putin is wrong and is committing murder and atrocities and so on. That will be an interesting discussion, particularly as it has as well in the same session a former ambassador to China, former Irish ambassador Declan Kelleher, who is well known for the fantastic work he has done on behalf of the state.
Congressman Brendan F. Boyle is a name we've heard a lot of, and he's coming over to take... Is he coming over or is he on Zoom?
He tells me now that his wife has to go into hospital for some kind of treatment. Not serious, I don't think, but she has to go in. So he was unable to come, and I suggested online.
Yeah.
We've had him online before, in fact. So it has to be online, I'm afraid. But he will be in dialogue with the hall in the Highlands Hotel in Glentis, because the chair of that session is again a former Irish diplomat, David Donahue, who was in more recent times ambassador to the UN. He will be in conversation and question the speaker, if you like.
And Brendan Boyle is an interesting one, because traditionally one would associate Irish American politicians with the Democratic Party and with the Kennedys and aligning themselves in a particular way. Brendan Boyle doesn't fit that mould, as it were, and as such, that's been exciting. A lot of comment, particularly in the past few months.
Yes, absolutely. But Brendan Boyle has become quite an eminent in a short space of time in politics. He of course, the interesting thing here is we get sponsorship now from Notre Dame University, one of the great universities in the States. And Brendan Boyle and his brother, indeed, who is also in the legislature in the States, are students there. They got scholarships, and of course the story of Brendan is quite extraordinary. That it was Francie Boyle. His father emigrated from Glencolmkill in, I think, 61. I'm not so sure, and worked his way. Labouring mainly in the States, but obviously he and his wife made sure that these two boys got an education, and they have reached great heights, and maybe will reach even greater heights.
The theme this year, very much as one would expect, with the sponsorship from Notre Dame and the involvement of so many international people, the theme, a very international one.
Yeah, well, it's been my ambition for some time to try and get a kind of a steady relationship like that that would mean let us afford to do more things, like fly somebody from Beijing. I mean, it would have been unthinkable 20 years ago or 10 years ago or less. This is a very, and of course it's such a reputable university, known of course for its Irishness, and their team is called the Fighting Irish.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is there will be a group of Notre Dame students at the school. And I'm told they are going to play a game of football with the lads in Glentis. So this is an important link that we're forging here, and at the same time, of course, doing what is right by the McGill School.
And presumably, given the nickname of the Notre Dame sporting teams, no quarter shall be asked or given.
Indeed, yes, absolutely.
Also, we will also be looking at events on our own island and the ongoing implications of tensions in Stormont and elsewhere. Claire Hanna, MP for the SDLP, one of those taking part. So with all the international involvement and all the international input, you're still going to be looking to our neighbours across the border and the situation there, and presumably Brexit will still be rearing its head as well.
Well, we can't forget across the border, I'm afraid, and McGill has always dealt with it and has had politicians from both sides consistently, and indeed those politicians sometimes met up in Glentis on the QT. It's not generally known, but things went on there that people didn't know about, and this was sort of during the peace process and so on. So we have 4 eminent people there, including our own man Charlie from Fianna Fáil, and it should be a good discussion because it is chaired by Tommy Gorman, who worked incredibly hard, as I know, in the north for years after having come from working in Brussels.
And that comment you made there about meetings taking place, as it were, perhaps behind closed doors at McGill, is an important one, because McGill has been doing more over the years than just reflecting the discussion. McGill has been generating, creating and prompting the discussion as well. I mean, McGill has been at the centre of some very important discussions on this island over the past number of years.
That's true, Donal, and why wouldn't we? We're a border county. It was an opportunity to get people together, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing you can do. You can preach all you like, but you have to persuade, and you have to persuade people that it's in our mutual interests to cooperate. And it's the only way that any progress will be made, even now that the people set aside cliches and habits of old and do something new. So, we're happy. I wouldn't exaggerate the role we played, but at least we played a role. And unionist politicians came to Glentis and have come without any problem at all, and stayed and had a drink in the bar and so on. So these small little things add up and are important, I think.
A new global order, precarious and dangerous, is the theme of the school this year. There's a question mark after that last 2 words. In terms of participation, it's an open forum, limited in terms of seat numbers, Joe. But if people wish to attend, if people want to go to sessions, how can they do so?
Well, first of all, Donal, it's extremely cheap. It's, I think, 75. I don't concern myself now with this. I have an assistant who does a lot of it, but 75 for the whole thing. You can go to one session if you like, something in particular that may turn you on or interest you. for €10. You can go for a day for 20 or 25 euros. So it's extremely cheap and good value. And when I tell people this on the phone, sometimes they call me, they can't believe it. So, from that point of view, it's made accessible. And that anybody can come in, even at the last minute, even if they haven't booked.
The McGill Summer School takes place August.
It's certainly not a closed shop.
Absolutely.
And the same applies for people who make comments after the lectures, who ask questions, etc., etc. That is known that McGill has a record second to none in allowing free speech following lectures and so on.
This day week it gets underway August 16th to August 19th in the Highlands Hotel.
Yes, we've shortened the week for the moment. We used to run from the Sunday to the Friday, but things are more difficult now, and people sometimes haven't the time. So we thought we would compress it down. And people who come to McGill sometimes want to spend a few days in Donegal, so it facilitates all of that. We start on Wednesday. Ukraine occupies a lot of our thoughts at this, and I would point out that Pat Cox, former president of the European Parliament, of course, who worked with me in Today Tonight many, many years ago. But he knows Ukraine better than most, and in fact he was there 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was getting an account from him of how it went, and he had to get out of his bed twice during the week of the conference that he was attending and go downstairs to the shelter. So you can imagine how people are living there.
Yeah, and that's very much the reality of
tenterhooks, because they seem to bomb whatever they want to bomb, even a blood transfusion plant, for God's sake.
Yeah. Joe, in terms of those who maybe would like to participate but can't get to Glenties themselves, there has traditionally been, in recent years, an online facility via the website or via Donegal County Council's website. Is that there as well?
Available. Yes, courtesy of Dara McDonough of Donegal County Council, an excellent fellow, terrific, an artist himself indeed. But no, that's still available as well. Yeah. And of course, the archives exist now in the Donegal archives, and so you can go back 10 years and look at, maybe look at somebody like the late Brian Lenihan, God be good to him, or somebody, like that. So it's a fantastic facility.
Yeah. McGillSummerSchool.com is the website. That's MacGillSummerSchool.com is the website. Joe Mulholland, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Donal, I enjoyed it very much. Thank you very much.
As did I.
Take care.
Thank you.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at HighlandRadio.com.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Get great menswear at greatly reduced prices in the big summer sale now on at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Brands like Superdry, Penguin, Sixth Sense, Andre and Casamoda, all with 20% off. Choose from a selection of shirts, polos and t-shirts with up to 50% off. Suits also up to 50% off. And many more great savings throughout in the big summer sale now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what.
The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €4.2 million.
Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie.
The National Lottery. It could be you.
Andre Rieu's annual feel-good event is back in Century Cinemas this summer. On the 26th and 27th of August, the King of the Waltz presents Love Is All Around, a brand new concert filled with uplifting music, spectacular performances and romantic waltzes. Book your tickets now at centurycinemas.ie.
Visit Knox Shrine from the 14th to the 22nd of August. Hear from guest speakers at 3 and 8 p.m. daily with something for everyone. Feel enriched and inspired. Don't miss our Family Day on Sunday, 21st of August from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. Bringing you a wonderful range of fun activities for all ages. Face painting, kite making and more on the beautiful grounds of Knox Shrine. Find out more at knoxshrine.ie. Knox Shrine, culture, faith and prayer since 1879.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And if you are watching us on our YouTube or Facebook channels, you will see that I'm joined by some guests in studio. The way the camera is set up, you can see two of them, but I actually have three guests in studio. Oh, hello, Alton. How are you? I want to introduce you to, if you're looking on camera, in the black on the far right as you're looking, this is Clodagh MacGyver. And in the middle, we have Ciara Doherty. And then over to my left, your right, we have Alton Pringle. All three of you are very, very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, you are here because Angrainen Theatre and its partner venues in the NASC Regional Venue Network have teamed up to present a national festival across 8 regional theatres. That's taking place in June of next year. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about this festival is it's going to be curated, selected, organised and run by you lot.
Yeah.
So basically what they're saying is, it's a lot of people say, oh, there's too many old fuddy-duddies involved in theatre, and what we need to do is get young people involved. So effectively, Angrainen and the partners in this network, right from here to Tralee to Galway to Dún Laoghaire, they've come together and they've effectively said, okay, let's say to the young people, off you go, you programme it, you choose what's shown, you get it organised. Clodagh, I'm going to go to yourself first. I mean, it's a challenge, but it's an exciting one.
It is, yeah. It's definitely very interesting, and each of us come from very different backgrounds when it comes to like the arts. So it's very interesting to have different perspectives, and it is. I'm really looking forward for the project.
Alton, how much freedom are you being given? I mean, is this a matter of you being given carte blanche and told, do what you want, or have you been given 3.5 pages of conditions and provisos and...
Actually, we haven't been given any rules yet. I don't know if we come up with something really crazy will we get a talking to, but I don't think so. I think the point is trying to encourage young audiences, and I suppose they think we might have the answer to that, so we'll see from next June.
Have you any ideas already as to what you want to do?
I think we've talked a lot about reaching out to different communities within Donegal and trying to represent them as a part of this festival, trying to really get a sense of what is Donegal. I don't know if we can answer that question, but trying to answer that through this festival I think would be really admirable.
Ciara, from your point of view, as someone who's going to be programming this, are you looking for original stuff? Are you looking for stuff that's out there already? Is the focus on creation? Is the focus on performance?
Wow. I think that it's kind of what we're going to discover a little bit is like I just I'm really excited to tap into a lot of different like areas that I haven't worked within. So in terms of like theatre and music and arts and all that there, it's just kind of trying to find what people are looking to see or provide a platform for people who don't really have one, I suppose, a little bit.
I mean, and it goes beyond, obviously, people think theatre, you're thinking it can be a play, it can be a musical, it can be a concert, and it's got to have an hour-long first act and a 15-minute interval and an hour-long second act, and and there are, in people's heads, there are rules. To what extent, and I'll go back to you on this one, Clodagh, to what extent do you get the feeling, let's rip up the rule book and start again?
Yeah, I definitely think it's an interest between even all the creators that we have met to kind of change the idea of that traditional look of maybe theatre and that kind of traditional look on the arts, and kind of to like strip it back down and create like kind of make it a bit different to hopefully encourage more people to come to it and get rid of maybe the I'm trying to think of the right word,
The conventions?
Yeah, that is put on it already kind of way, if that makes sense.
It does, because maybe, as I said, people do have these straitjacketed ideas to a certain extent. I mean, I'm involved myself in a local musical society, and I play a bit. And again, we have to, and where we're constricted, to be honest, is we're an amateur group who are going to spend in excess of 35,000 euro on putting on a show. Yeah. So we have to have a commercial thought in our heads. We have to think, okay, we have no money. So if we're going to put on a show that costs 35,000 euro, we have to make 35,000 euro back. Yeah. So immediately we've got to do something commercial. We've got to do something that sells. Now, to a certain extent, that pressure has been taken off you. You're being told, go out there and create and curate something and make it exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the thing, Donal. I mean, how do young people aren't as interested in the arts anymore. I blame TikTok, I blame the internet, digitization of culture. So how do we get those people into a theatre, into a box that maybe they haven't gone into before? How do you bring people in the doors and make them interested in something? I don't think it is in those 3-act plays. I don't think it is in Samuel Beckett. I love Beckett, I love Brian Friedel, but I think there has to be other ways that we try and engage a younger audience. So those are questions we're trying to answer over the next year.
Ciara, I want to go to you on this one as well, because it's and it's interesting. Alton brought up TikTok there, because I had a conversation with, now I have a son and daughter who I suspect are a little older than yourselves. They're, shall we say, far closer to having 3 at the start of their age than they are closer to having 2 at the start of their age. And I'll go no more than that, or I'll be killed when I get home. But I mean, and even they said to me, look, we're now in a generation where we're using TikTok. We're looking at, my daughter said to me recently, I would never dream of watching the Graham Norton show or watching the Late Late Show, but I'll go online after and I'll watch the 10-minute clip of the interviews. And that's the way she's consuming TV now. She's watching very little live TV, but she's watching the 10-minute segments, the best of bits that come up on YouTube. Now, is that creating a challenge, because people are used to getting all their art in 10-minute segments and 5-minute TikTok slots?
Yeah, I feel very seen there, because I don't think I've ever watched the Graham Norton show. I just watch the clips on YouTube.
Well, I do love TikTok. I can't lie. I am guilty, but I definitely see how it's kind of shortening attention spans a lot. Yeah. Like, even my mum, because they've expanded now to like 10-minute TikToks, my mum shows me a TikTok and it goes on longer than 2 minutes. I'm like, Mommy, real. But I don't know. I think that it's kind of a weird thing. I feel a little bit caught in the middle, because you think that it's kind of ruining.
I do think that I think maybe attention spans are dead, and it's making it more difficult to get bums on seats, but I think it means we have to reframe how we think about what theatre is to get those people in, I think.
And I do. We had discussions about lockdown and things like that, and the absence of live events and things like that, and I've really, really, really struggled with that. So I know I feel a little caught in the middle, where I do love like the traditional like live experience, but I am kind of guilty of being the TikTok generation as well.
Yeah, we can't help it. We're young.
Clodagh, from your own point of view, we've been speaking about programming. Obviously, you're all going to have your own individual interests as well. So the 3 of you have got to sit down. Is it going to be a matter of, okay, you do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do, and you do what you want to do, or is this going to be a collaboration? How do you think this is going to work between the 3 of you?
I think it has potential to be a complete real collaboration, because obviously like Alton would be quite theatre based and Ciara would be quite musical based, and then I would be more based into like working with different cultures and diversity type. So I think it's going to be quite like easy to try and put something together to kind of collaborate the whole lot of them, and I think it would be quite a nice thing as well to do. Because I feel like we'd learn a lot of each other as well from collaborating all into one. This
is a week-long festival. So you'll be presumably then trying to put forward a programme of events for a week that will be centred in Grainan Theatre. Is it exclusively on Grainan, or can you go out to the community to other venues?
There have been no parameters placed on us really, bar we know it's that week. So like we can go out into different communities, we can pull from different communities. We can really the sky is the limit. Now, money's always a problem, just like in your amateur musical group. So money will be an issue, but we're going to see what we can do with that and do our best with it.
So is it that you're being given a set level of funding from Ungrain and from the NASC venue network and told, okay, there's your budget, away you go and do it?
Yeah, exactly. So it is like just having a theatre of your own. You're told, here's the money, see what you can do with this pot of money.
But that is good, because it also means, there's going to be a learning experience then for yourselves as well. And I mean, Ciara, as they've said, you're very involved in music, and it's great, and there are times when you can just go out and express yourself musically and do what you want, when you want, where you want to do it. But when you have a budget and a brief, you're going to have to start maybe thinking, well, can we make this back? It's going to be a challenge. But
it is one of those things, because since graduating, I did get interested in events, but it was a really scary thing, because I appreciate what artists' work is worth, and I'm always worried that I'm not going to be able to pay them fairly. So this is a really big deal to me, to be handed a budget or being taught how to budget. Is something that I'm really excited to learn, just for life and for my future kind of career, I suppose.
And have all of you, are your qualifications all in the, shall we say, the wider realm of theatre and the arts?
Yeah, I would study event management and public relations.
Yeah.
So I study that in ATU Galway. So that would have given me kind of a bit of a background on the actual putting together of events and kind of the marketing for them and stuff like that. Now I'm not specialised in the arts, but it would have given me a bit of a general idea.
So business head, music head, theatre head.
Yeah, exactly. Claudia's got her head screwed on. Mine's in the clouds.
Fair enough. So does that mean then that part of your job, and this is possibly the way this is going to evolve organically if you haven't been given briefs or parameters, but part of your job is going to go, oi, Alton, come down from that cloud a bit. Reality comes.
I've already had it. We're only a month in and I had that talk already. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Alton, really, really good news. Thanks to the wonderful work of Kevin, the camera's been adjusted and you are now visible.
Is it my good side? Can you see?
Oh, it is. Hey, both sides
all
are good.
Sides.
They're all good sides, Alton. Don't you worry about that.
Perfect.
It's going to be a genuinely interesting festival, because as you do have a blank sheet and you don't have... Your brief is to present a festival for a week, centred in on Grain and Theatre in Letterkenny, but obviously you're going to be going out to the wider Donegal and Northwest community. Will you get the chance to go elsewhere? Because as I said, this is happening in Letterkenny. There's going to be a similar event and a similar team in Tralee and Dún Laoghaire and Galway, etc., and the other participating. I don't know if Waterford's involved. I would imagine Garterdale in Waterford is probably involved. Possibly, or
maybe
possibly
I'm searching
not.
my brain.
Yeah, it's it would be a theatre. I know it's quite a good one actually. But would you get the chance then maybe to go elsewhere and bring stuff you've created to Galway or to Dún Laoghaire or to Tralee or wherever?
I think there's a chance the programme that we collaborate, say, with Backstage in Longford or with Pavilion Dún Laoghaire to create the work, so we share it between the three venues, say.
Yeah.
So it'd be coming together, pulling our resources and collaborating on that. I'm not sure about touring the work after it's made next June, but the sky's the limit, I think.
Yeah.
Claudia can tell me that's not possible at some point of it. But yeah, there is. I mean, it's also that thing, Donal, like you were saying, about reaching out into the community of if there are young artists listening between the ages of 18 and 25 who want to talk to us about their work, please come to us, because we are looking, we're trying to represent, it's kind of the age group we've been told that the three of us are from. So if you are listening and you want to talk about your work, please approach Ungrain and approach us and let's chat. Because we need to find those people within the community who are creating the work so that we can then kind of work with them to nurture it and take it further. Would be a really great challenge, I think, with this programme.
The opportunity to, I won't say rip it up and start again, but certainly the opportunity to, disassemble the traditions and perhaps look at the traditions and see what works, what doesn't work. How can we do this in a way that's different? How can we do this in a way that meets the desires of our market, to use that horrible phrase? But in the one hand, you want to meet what meet what your market wants. You want to give the market what it wants. But very often art, someone once described art in a lovely way. They said, art is giving the community what it doesn't know it needs.
Yeah.
And there's an element there as well. It's that element of education. So you're going to sort of, obviously people want a good gig or people want a good comedy experience or a good theatre experience, and you're going to give them that. But there is that opportunity to perhaps get people who haven't, as you've said, and this is an interesting one, because I would be a regular theatre goer, we'd be regular gig goers, and all of you, by virtue of the fact that you expressed an interest in this, you have an interest in it. So there's a lot of people of that age that don't. I suspect there's a lot of people aged between 18 and 25 who, apart from something they might have had to do in school, have never been within the door of Angrainan or the Balor or the Abbey in Ballyshannon or any other theatre.
Yeah.
I think for me especially, because I'm coming from more of a musical side, one of the things that I have in my head is even when I was applying, the challenge with the theatre is I go to gigs every weekend. I know the venues or the bars, wherever. I'm used to seeing music and just trying to figure out how that would translate into the theatre. And I think that it's just an interesting challenge, I suppose, is trying to think in terms of the theatre rather than the venues that I'm used to going. And as a young person that does frequent that what would bring me into the theatre a little bit. In terms of you and you're more used to being in the theatre, I suppose.
Well, yeah, and I think I definitely am in the minority of people in my age group. I love the theatre. I love Beckett. I love Friedel. But I think it's about that challenge of theatres are scary. They're big, huge boxes, concrete boxes that some people feel that they're not making work for them. So why would you ever bother spending €25 on a ticket to go and watch it? So it's about trying to think with this programme, if you build it for the community and build it based somewhere, build it for the people of Donegal, will they then come?
Yeah.
I think they will. I do think if you build community-based theatre that's inclusive of everyone who wants to sit and watch it rather than just like a certain demographic, I think they will come. But we'll see.
But it's important too that what you're effectively saying to those young people is you're saying, don't come to this thing that's been created by some old fuddy-duddy or that's been created by some traditional practitioner. Come to it because it's been created by your peers.
For you.
For you. And to an extent, I mean, you as a representative group, it's created for you and it's created by you to an extent, because the idea being obviously you will have an insight into the minds of 18 to 25-year-olds that, I mean, and let's be honest about it, with all the will in the world, much as I like to think I have really hip and cool musical taste, I haven't got it. I mean, I really don't. I can talk about the new bands and I can talk about, I will listen to, bands like the Baboon Club and bands like that and think, I'm being really cool. I am being really cool because I'm listening to a really hip band. And I know a young look at Dad over there. And that is the reality of it. So, the fact that this is, and I think this is genuinely exciting. Because, and in fairness, I know Patricia and Niall, and I would know a lot of the people in Angrainan, obviously. And I think they are great people, and I think they are people who genuinely will take a step back. Now, and I'm sure there's going to be times when they'll be biting their tongues, like, God, lads, what are you doing to me? And I've known that. And if that doesn't happen, you're not doing your job.
Yes, thank you for that.
I think that is the case. I mean, I think if you're not challenging Patricia, and if you're not challenging Niall and Pete and all the guys, and if you're not challenging them, you're not doing your job. And if they're not challenging you, they aren't doing theirs. And I think it's going to be genuinely exciting to see what comes out of this. And look, you've got a year. Well, under a year, 10 months at this stage? It's June 24. This is going to be a week of programming in Angrainan. There's going to be theatre, there's going to be music, hopefully there'll be some comedy, and it'll be curated by yourselves and hopefully presented by people of a similar age. And I think we could find some really exciting new talent out there. There are people out there that have comedic talent and acting talent and musical talent, and they would not think of it. They wouldn't think themselves, I must get involved in this. So hopefully you can find them and you can put them on those stages and create something really special. Clodagh MacGyver, Ciara Doherty, and Ultan Pringle, it's been an absolute pleasure. And by the way, look, I have to say it, if anyone is looking at Ultan and thinking, I wonder, the answer is yes. Obviously the answer is yes. I mean, God, you can't deny it. Just take a look at it, for God's sake. Okay, and we will go no further than that. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really look forward to this. And look, we look forward to talking to you again over the next while. I think there's something really exciting going to happen here.
Thank you very much.
All the best with it.
Perfect, thank you.
So that is Ciara and Clodagh and Ultan. It's a minute, just under 2 minutes to 11. Going to take a short break. Back after these.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top-quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who are unable to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
When it's time for a new car, it's time for a Volkswagen. Our unbeatable August offers across our wide range of petrol, diesel and all-electric models make it easy to choose the right Volkswagen for you and your lifestyle. Choose from our ever-popular Taigo, T-Roc and T-Cross SUVs or our best-selling all-electric ID range. Available now for immediate delivery in August, so there's no time to lose. Discover our full range and our unbeatable offers today at Volkswagen.ie. Volkswagen. Best-selling claim based on latest published figures.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It is 11 o'clock, time for the news headlines. Good morning, Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Reports were made last night regarding a potential suspicious device at Letterkenny University Hospital at around 11:30. Gardaí attended the scene. They say after a search of the area, nothing untoward was found. A second night of what police have called serious and sinister incidents has taken place in Gallia, Derry, last night. It's seen shots fired, cars stoned and a fence set on fire. PSNI are appealing for anyone who has information to come forward. The Garda Commissioner says he's going nowhere amid ongoing anger among rank and file Gardaí. Members of the Garda Representative Association are being balloted on whether they have confidence in Drew Harris. It's over a dispute about rosters. The Cathaoirleach of Glenties Municipal District has condemned incidents of littering in the area. Councillor Michael McClafferty urged the public that in cases where a bin is not available, to be responsible and take rubbish home. He added that there are frequent occurrences of fast food packaging being thrown out of car windows. The Independent Electoral Commission is set to research whether it's appropriate to lower the voting age in Ireland. The group's annual research programme will also look at the use of election posters and whether by-elections should be scrapped. Reducing the voting age to 17 has been included in the programme for government. The establishment of a community first responder group has been proposed to cover the general Buncrana area, as well as Fawn, Ellis, Dumfries and Desergenny. The purpose of the group is to train volunteers to attend certain types of emergency calls in Buncrana and surrounding areas. Their aim is to reach potential life-threatening emergency cases in the first vital minutes before the ambulance crew arrives. And finally, there has been a record level of philanthropic donations made to causes in Ireland. Community Foundation Ireland's annual report shows grants of €2.7 million were given out to communities here last year. Over €7.5 million was used in direct response to the war in Ukraine, while funding was also used for causes working on climate action and combating sexual violence. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back again with the next news update at 12 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Enjoy all the thrills of Callum's Funfair at Letterkenny Retail Park behind TK Maxx. Saturday the 12th until Sunday the 20th of August. 2 great ways to pay. Buy 20 tokens, get 5 free, or pay as you go. Open weeknights 6 p.m. till late, weekends 2:30 p.m. until late. And Wednesday the 16th of August, Carnival Crazy Night. All rides reduced from 6 p.m. until late.
Nutrius Winling Crunch is now on offer at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags of Nutrius Winling Crunch ATP, get 1 free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. Contact your local Homeland store or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
If it's time to change your oven or hob, at Ben Swinney Euronics we have great value packages available right now. Like the Zanussi oven and hob pack for just $4.99. We also have great value in double ovens, integrated fridge freezers, dishwashers and range cookers, with the delivery and installation service available. And we have great deals in kitchen appliances like air fryers, coffee machines, juicers and food mixers. Call in and see us at Ben Swinney Euronics in Letterkenny or Donal.
Is the
appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Don't miss the High Stool Profits live at the Highlands Hotel Glenties on Friday the 11th of August. Doors open at 8:30 with support act before the main show. Tickets available from ticketstock.ie or from hotel reception. The High Stool Profits, Highlands Hotel Glenties, Friday the 11th of August.
Calling all McCrispy lovers. Your favourite chicken burger has been remixed with delicious smoky bacon, hot and spicy mayo, and a caramelised onion relish. As if you didn't love it enough already. The McCrispy Deluxe. It's your favourite chicken remixed. Available until the 5th of September. Served after 11 a.m. subject to availability.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you. For the next 55 minutes, I can't believe we're into the final hour of the show already. Just goes to show the quality of our guests, because it just seems to just go bing, and you're there. And our next guest is no exception. We're joined in studio by Andrea McDade, who is the founder of Solomates. And Solomates basically is just a means of people getting together, forging friendships. And I tell you what, let's not have me talk. Let's have Andrea talk. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Donal, and thank you for having me.
It's our absolute pleasure. Andrea, the idea of Solomates, in terms of what it is and where the idea came from, just to speak about the background.
The background of Solomates is initially 5 years ago, when my son grew up and he became more independent and he didn't need me as much anymore. I had lots of free time in my hands, and I was always looking for a group like Solomates. I couldn't find one, so I had to create the group myself. And it's basically just for people who have free time, who want to get out and about socially, come in the outdoors, meet new people, make connections, build friendships, go on adventures and explore. So it's just basically a safe environment for people to come together.
And the focus is on forging friendships. It's not about dating. It's not about trying to do something deeper. It's about getting together and having the crack.
It's just about getting together and having the crack.
There is no agenda.
No agenda. You can come and go as you please. Some events might suit you. You might like to try new things with outside your own friendship groups. So it's just basically about getting people together, having the crack and enjoying life.
And I'm sure it's a matter of just sitting around and talking, and you will find you've got stuff in common with people. You'll find shared interests. You'll find and that's always going to happen, I suspect, on something like this, that you will find, oh, you like Terry Pratchett, I love Terry Pratchett too, or you like such and such a program, I love that program as well, and that's almost organically going to happen.
Yeah, people have similar interests. And you find like people have even made really good friendships out of Solomates. And I suppose we do a lot of events, like we do hiking, walks, sunset, sunrise, full moon dips. We meet every Tuesday morning at 6:30. We just sit and have a coffee and have a chat. We do a 5-minute morning meditation, and we go for a swim, and then everybody goes back to normality. I suppose Solomates for everybody is like getting a break from normality and taking some me time and recharging,
and it's breaking the routine as well, and sometimes we can get caught and trapped in the routine.
Yeah, and it's nice for people as well to get away from their own lives and kind of have different friendships or, different kind of people in a group that aren't like their familiar friends and things like. So you kind of find that everybody just comes away from the day having like a great day.
Yeah. One of the things you're planning in the not too distant future is a sunset soiree on the water. Now this sounds really good.
It is. I'm really excited about this event. At the beginning I was really nervous. I didn't know if I could pull it off. It took a lot of organisation, and I suppose for me I wanted to keep it for the Buncrana people, and I wanted to keep it local, and the ferry service doesn't offer a sunset cruise, so I was actually watching the sunset one night in Lisfannon, and I rang Dominic, the man that owns the Buncrana ferry, And I told him my idea, and he just says, "How can I help you?" And I just said, "Well, I need your ferry."
That's fair enough.
I just want to like organise like a summer kind of the last blast before everybody goes back to work and back to reality and routine. So it's just something different. It's never happened before in Buncrana. It's the first time that they have had, or they are going to have, a sunset cruise.
So it's going to be take the ferry out, not necessarily just go straight to Rathmullen and back again. I mean, will you just meander a bit on the Swilly and just...
I think we're planning on heading towards Dunree.
Oh, lovely.
And I have a band and a DJ, and we might anchor up out in the Swilly for a while, or we might go on up towards Inch Island.
String Empire and DJ Marty.
String Empire and DJ Marty, yeah.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I've never seen Dunree from the water. I've been at Dunree several times, and the views around Dunree are fantastic. I've never actually seen Dunree from the water looking up.
Yeah, I have actually.
That sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting, I have to say.
Well, sure, you're more than welcome to join us.
What's the date?
It's the 26th of August. And it's from 8 to 11.
26th of August, I'm in Dunleary. There's the annual ukulele hoolie on at Dunleary, so I'll actually be down at that.
Well, maybe we'll have another one next year.
I mean, I tell you, I will certainly be looking at with interest at the pictures. But it really sounds good. And it's an interesting one, Andrew, because the idea is simplicity itself. How much work has gone into actually making Solomates a reality from your own point of view? Because you're, on the one hand, you're the organiser, you're the founder, but on the other hand, you just want to go out for a bit of a soiree with your mates. So do you have a difficult sort of path to thread in terms of being the founder but also just wanting to participate?
I suppose it all kind of just works out easy enough. Every idea starts from a conversation with somebody, or people DM me and say, "Andrea, I would love to do this. I've never been here." So I always say to people, if there's one more person and me, then let's do it. Then we just put it out in the stories and more people join, and that's kind of the way it goes.
Do you find yourself having to worry about things like insurance? I mean, particularly for something like the summer soiree, or is it just a matter of doing something like, can you use the ferry's own insurance, or do you have to actually start becoming an event organiser as such and looking at things like insurance and looking at all that goes with that?
Well, one of the reasons why there is one rule to the group, and it's everybody has to be 18 or over, and that's kind of so that everybody's responsible for themselves. Like, I'm just bringing people together socially. You know, like, we go on hikes and things, but everybody has to be responsible for themselves.
So it isn't like I am part of a club and the club has certain responsibilities towards my welfare and my health and safety.
No,
this is I'm out for a walk with my mates.
Yeah, we're just out for a walk. We're all adults, and you just have to follow rules and everything, and just stay safe.
In terms of the actual sunset cruise that we were talking about, I mean, Eventbrite, the people can actually go onto Eventbrite and book onto that. I'm sure the numbers are going to be somewhat limited. Yeah,
the numbers are limited, obviously, because the ferry has, they have numbers that you're allowed to take on board at a time. So it's on my bio on Instagram, and it's also on my Facebook page, the link.
Yeah. And of course, there'll be no cars on the ferry, so there'll be more people on board than usual. But as you say, you'll have a band, you'll have a DJ. It'll be a very different way. In terms of refreshments and so on, is it a matter of just people take their own, or is it something being organised on the ferry itself?
People are going to take their own, but I have I had a chip van in mind, but this person can't make it because they don't finish their shift is until 9 o'clock, and my event starts at 8. So I'm still looking for a chip van. I have a few numbers, but if there's anybody out there that's...
A chip van on the ferry?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Well, I just thought it would be nice, for people if they wanted, to get a chip or a burger.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, we'll sort something out.
Absolutely.
Fingers
it's going to... I am bowled over at the idea of a gig on a boat looking up at Dunree. I have to say that really is, I'm really, really taken with that idea. I mean, really please do another one, because I will go to that.
Well, hopefully, if everything goes well. It was a big risk to kind of even think about organising something like this, but I hope the risk pays off. We just need a sunset.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
And if the weather would cooperate, it would be nice if the weather cooperated with one thing once this year.
Yeah,
and maybe your one thing will be the one thing the weather decides to cooperate with.
Fingers crossed, but we can't predict the weather, unfortunately. But I do have a feeling that, if it's not, it'll still be a great night.
How would you define Solomates? I mean, it's not a club per se because it doesn't have membership as such. Is it a movement? Is it an initiative? Can Solomates take on a life beyond yourself, for instance? Would you like to see this concept and idea travel on elsewhere when people say, well, that's a good idea what that girl up in Donegal is doing. I might do that myself.
Yeah. Funny, I was talking to, was it Caroline?
Caroline, yeah.
And we were just talking about people that have moved to different places and, they're seeking friendships and they don't really know people. And I would love to see Solomates extend all around Ireland because I do think there is a need for it. And it's for all ages, it's for everybody. And it's nice when somebody has an interest that they can get people to join them. And do different things. It's all just about building connections and friendships. And
Andrea, it's a really, really interesting initiative and well done for thinking of it. I mean, it's one of those things where people think, oh, that's a kind of an obvious thing, really, isn't it? Yeah, it's a kind of an obvious thing, really. Anyone could have thought of it. Anyone could have done it. But Andrea did.
Yeah.
And well done for that because, it's great to see it take a life of its own. And look, I really hope the initiative on the Swilly goes well. And look, all the best with Solomates. And, if lifelong friendships are forged through this, all the better. But most importantly, let the crack continue to be had.
Yeah, exactly. And enjoy life and make the most of good outdoors.
Andrea, thanks very much indeed for coming in and speaking to us this morning, and hopefully people can contact Eventbrite or go on to Andrea McDade's. If they search Solomates on... will they find
2022.
Solomates 2022. That's how you'll find more details online, and as I say, Eventbrite, you can look at getting your tickets for that sunset cruise. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio, 16 minutes past 11 o'clock.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Have your ticket yet?
€2,500 every Friday.
Plus a chance to win big.
10,000 cash money.
Get your ticket today. Go to highlandradio.com.
The summer's just got better.
Ooh.
Attention, all home and business owners. Are you looking for the best value for money when it comes to plumbing and tile solutions? At McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles, our experienced staff are ready to provide top quality services and products that meet your needs and exceed your expectations. Our focus is on providing expert advice and top quality products. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles showroom in Buncrana is dedicated to delivering great value for your money. Visit our showroom today.
Dunstore's Double Savers has everything you need for a delicious budget-friendly shakshuka. Save in the aisle when you pick up an 8-pack of sausages for only €1. A 1 kilo net of onions for €1.19. A 39-cent tin of chopped tomatoes. 6 eggs for €1.40 and €1 chives for a tasty weekend brunch. Then save again at the till with our 5 off 25 grocery vouchers. Double Savers from Dunn Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
17.5 minutes past 11 o'clock. Could you please wish my daughter Dakota Bow a happy 5th birthday, please, with love from Daddy, Aideen, Aoife and Dahi. So, Dakota Bow, have a very, very happy birthday. Thank you to Matthew and Rachel, who helped a caller who was broken down on the Ramelton Road. Matthew and Rachel took our caller to a safe place, a good deed, which was really appreciated. And great to hear stories like that, and well done, Matthew and Rachel. Now, I just want to remind you that Heritage Week, our competition for today, Heritage Week happening in Donegal and across the country from the 12th to the 20th of August. heritageweek.ie is the website. You can create your own personalised schedule of events and clicking on My Heritage Trail. We're giving away 2 vouchers that will give access to heritage sites across the country. Those vouchers worth in the region of €90 each, and potentially, if you use them right, they could be worth an awful lot more than that. I'm going to give you 3 clues pertaining to a place in Donegal. Please just tell me what place I am talking about. The 3 clues are as follows. I am located on the Diamond in Donegal's capital. I used to incarcerate people. I am now a visitor centre, but I have kept my old name. So I'm located on the Diamond in Donegal's capital. I used to incarcerate people. I am now a visitor centre, but I've kept my old name. And you can text your name and your answer to 086 60 25,000. Now, it's time for Wellness Wednesday. And an initiative is being undertaken by the Donegal Sports Partnership as part of Her Outdoors Week, which takes place next week from Monday to Sunday, the 14th to the 20th of August inclusive. And Her Outdoors Week is intended to celebrate and encourage more females to go out and enjoy the benefits of being in the outdoors, while bringing visibility to the opportunity for females to get involved in outdoor physical activity. Joined by Maggie Farley, who's Education and Training Coordinator with the Donegal Sports Partnership. Maggie, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
This is an important initiative because we see a lot more outdoor activity these days in terms of walking, running, cycling, etc. There was a time when you'd see loads of people out walking for the first 2 weeks in January, and then it sort of tailed off and stopped. But more and more we're seeing people out walking regularly, and you'd like to see that and other outdoor activity take place more and more.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely in the last number of years during the COVID times, we definitely seen a lot more people participating in outdoors and using the natural resources, particularly in Donegal, as a place of working out and enjoying the outdoor activity, I suppose, in the walking, jogging and different activities, kayaking and swimming and so forth. So this is a national programme, a national initiative by Sport Ireland, the Whole Outdoor Week. And as you mentioned there, it aims to celebrate and encourage more females to get out and enjoy the outdoors. And through ourselves in Donegal Sports Partnership, we have organised 14 events for the forthcoming week, starting on Monday the 14th with rock climbing out on Crute Island, and the event. For the week ahead, we have 14 events, as I said, and it concludes with a walk, dip, and campfire at Ard's Ferry on Saturday morning. So we've got lots of different activities to offer for all abilities and all levels.
And it does have to be said that in Donegal we're blessed with having, between the sea, between the hills, between the mountains, the woods, the forests and so on, we have such wonderful amenities where you can do outdoor things here in Donegal. I mean, it's got you very well placed in terms of having the infrastructure and having a wonderful canvas upon which you can plan those activities.
Absolutely, yeah. We were able to organise different events across Donegal, from Kilcar, we've got different events down there. So we have, in relation to kayaking, to up as far as Garton, we have another kayaking programme, and then we've got a sunrise sea swim in McMullen Beach. So there's lots of different things there, and obviously then we have a number of different events then at Mary Pier there as well, including stand-up paddleboarding and kayaking sessions. We're very, very lucky in Donegal. So we have, with the resources that we have, the natural amenities in Donegal with the sea and the landscape that we have, we just want to encourage more people just to get out and to use it. And particularly for this week, we want to encourage more females to get out to enjoy it, and I suppose to try a new activity as well, and to also have to create, I suppose, new friendships and the social aspect of joining in with a small group as well.
It's the third year the initiative has taken place. Her Outdoors Week also ran in 2021 and 2022. Now, obviously, 2021 in particular, there would have been some restrictions still. Obviously, this is growing, and you're hoping that growth will continue now even more so in 2023.
Yeah, so far, through the website, everybody has been registering through the Donegal Sports Partnership website, and the links are all available there. So some events have actually have filled up or filled up. So they have, and there's a number of different events that still has spaces available there. So we would encourage more people just to look at the website and to get registered through it for the other events that we're still that's not full capacity yet. But it is an opportunity for people to get out and even if it's a mother and daughter or sisters or friends or whatever it is, just to get out and try something new and a new challenge and a new experience.
There is a 7% difference in terms of participation levels in sport between males and females. So, the search for parity to get more females out there and taking part in sport is a challenge. This potentially can play a really important role in bringing those figures closely together. ActiveDonegal.com is the website.
That's correct, yeah. And I suppose those barriers, that leads to that disparity between males and females probably comes maybe with a lack of confidence, maybe a lack of opportunity maybe in localities, lack of awareness that maybe there's some activities are even happening first and foremost. And then you've got family commitments and not having maybe the necessary time to do activities. So we're trying to, I suppose, encourage more females to make time and just to reach out to clubs and different societies, and even reaching out to ourselves to see what's on in different localities. To ensure that they're getting the capacity to actually to try different things as well, and to stay involved in sport and physical activity.
Now, this is a special week with a special focus, but obviously the Donegal Sports Partnership doesn't shut up shop and go away for the rest of the year. The Sports Partnership is always there, and I'm sure there's initiatives going to be taking place right through the year in which people can participate, and obviously women and females are going to be very, very welcome in terms of taking part in those events. I mean, this is potentially the start of something, but it's by no means the end.
Oh, definitely not. No, we as a partnership have a number of different events for all age groups and for all abilities and for all genders as well. It's not just for females. Obviously, next week is about female participation, but our remit is about participation and education and training. That's what we focus on, is getting people out and being active. At a level that they are fit to do, and it's not just about team sports. It's about the outdoors as much as everything else. So it's just getting out and either going for a jog or a walk or whatever it is, and linking in with maybe local clubs or local societies in your area to see what opportunities are available in the different localities.
I read two news stories out briefly earlier on in the programme, Maggie. One said that the latest study shows that as few as 4,000, even 500 to 1,000 steps can be very beneficial. But if people even do 4,000 steps in a day, and many people will aim for somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000, but if people even do 4,000 steps a day, it has benefits to them in terms of their cardiovascular health and so on and so forth. And the more exercise you do, but even, your cardiovascular health will improve if you've done over 1,000 steps, which isn't an awful lot. So the proof is out there, as if it needed to be reinforced, that even taking part in a walk or a swim or something like that is going to have huge benefits for your health going forward.
Absolutely, Donal. It has, of course. It's just getting out and I suppose enjoying the outdoor life as well, and the wee endorphins that's released from doing physical activity has massive impact on your health and well-being. So it has, so it doesn't matter about, that you only do 1,000 steps or 4,000 steps. It's just getting out and being active, and I suppose it's developing your cardiovascular fitness, and you're developing your mental health as well in terms of increasing your well-being holistically.
And it's important you mentioned the mental health thing there too, because I mean, in my own experience too, I find almost inevitably you do feel better, be it the fresh air, be it the fact that you've got those endorphins released and you've got those hormones and whatever, moving around in the body. You've got yourself exercised a bit. You've elevated the heartbeat a little. But even, with the fresh air and everything else, you do feel better after going out and taking part in some form of sport. However, small or however light it may be, when you've been active, you do feel better. I mean, that's pretty much proven.
Yeah, and it's even just getting out and maybe doing 3 different bouts of physical activity, you know, at different times in the day. Like, you know, if it's a 10-minute walk, maybe in the morning, afternoon, or evening time, you know, it all accumulates to be part of developing your cardiovascular fitness. And it's just getting out there and feeling good about yourself. And, you know, we all know that once you do exercise, you do feel good. You mightn't feel good maybe during it when you're doing it. Mm-hmm. You might feel it maybe as a challenge, or, you know, it could be hard on you or whatever. But once you get out and do it, you definitely do feel you know, more relaxed after it, and you know, more upbeat maybe about your day as well. So you do after doing physical activity, you know. So look, we all know that being active is a crucial part of everybody's life, you know, and that it does help to improve our overall general fitness. The World Health Organization recommends that we do at least 5 days of 1 hour physical activity for adults. Or, you know, 30 minutes a day if you can at all as a minimum. So those are important guidelines that we have to follow. And then obviously those that's under 18 years of age should be doing at least 1 hour every day a week to moderate to vigorous exercise. You know, so those are massive guidelines. You know, we all can work towards those. Like we don't have to just set out and do it instantly. We can do it as maybe 3-10 minutes per day or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, Her Outdoors Week runs from the 14th to the 20th of August. That's next Monday to Sunday. And it's being coordinated by the Donegal Sports Partnership. Maggie Farley is Education and Training Coordinator. And we'll just repeat the website, Maggie. It's activedonegal.com. And then
activedonegal.com, yeah.
And then her outdoors. But I mean, even if you go into activedonegal.com, I'm sure you'll find the links and get there. Maggie, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us, and may this be a huge success.
Thank you very much, Donal. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, Maggie. You take care.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Jack's been with Vodafone Broadband for 3 years, and Aoife joined yesterday. But now they can get the same price. With Vodafone Broadband, you can pay just €40 a month and your bill won't double at the end of your contract. Available for both new and existing customers. After all, it's only fair. Find out more at vodafone.ie/broadband. Vodafone, together we can. Subject to signing up to Vodafone Home 500 megabit fibre broadband, 12-month minimum contract. Price subject to annual price adjustment of CPI plus 3% each April. For terms, see vodafone.ie/terms.
Hello there, Farmer Tinny here. It's summer, and Tinny's Toys have loads of swings, slides, trampolines, goalposts, and many more outdoor toys and games. We've basketball stands, swing ball, sandpit diggers, kids' wheelbarrows, and when the sun finally gets out, we've loads of paddling pools. Of course, we still have what we're famous for, the largest range of ride-on and small farm toys and models in Ireland. Shop 24/7 tinnystoys.com or call into Leck Road, Letterkenny. Down by
2 for 1 at top attractions with Donegal Creameries and Connacht Gold Milk. Simply collect 30 tokens from special packs of Donegal Creameries and Connacht Gold Milk and receive 5 2-for-1 vouchers for over 120 top attractions nationwide, including golf and beauty. There's something for everyone. Start collecting tokens today.
Kajamara Township, Colin Furniture and Shaw, Biggie Lindy, Kedinya Lahai, Rulia Bulia, Sharkuji, Huck the Clug, Le, Sean Makachaklan, Egsholu, Album Ursega, Omos, August Aurani, Hananek Fwajin, August Liam Joe, Elig Biosa Studio, Ihe Kedinya Shaw, Sharkuji, Huck, Air.
Fáilte over Ash, the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, a column and the crew on tonight. It's always mad when Rula Buda is taking place. You don't know how many people Colum is going to bring into the studio. It's a great crack altogether. Always a great buzz around when Colum is on. Rula Buda, that's on tonight after the news at 7 o'clock. That means it's a Wednesday, which means at 11:30 on a Wednesday, we traditionally listen to this.
Business Matters in association with ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. Now is the time to realise your potential by enrolling on the part-time degree in business. Only 3 years with 1 evening per week on campus and another online. Open up your future by contacting the faculty office on 9186206 or visit lyit.ie today.
This is the Business Matters slot on Highland Radio, and on this week's Business Matters, Kieran O'Donnell is joined by the owner of Kelly Centra and Kelly Steiner on the Mountaintop in Letterkenny, and also by the co-owner of Citadel Gymnastics in Letterkenny and Gweedore. But we're getting slightly ahead of ourselves. Before we do anything else, let's say good morning, Kieran O'Donnell.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
I am very well indeed, and all the better for seeing you.
I enjoyed your couple of fuckle there.
Oh, thank you very much.
Intro.
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. Yeah, because believe you me, the couplet is all I have.
Yeah, you've perfected the couplet anyway.
We're going to start with Donegal takeaways, and I am delighted because one of my absolute favourite eating places in this county has made it into a national poll.
You can tell me. You can tell me after this. 2 Donegal takeaways, as you say, Donal, are included in the country's top places to dine beside the sea, compiled by the team from the Irish Independence Weekend magazine. Corcragan Mill Fish and Chips in Dunfanny and Killybegs Seafood Shack both made it onto the list of the best 26 eateries in the country. Which one, Donal?
Seafood Shack. The Seafood Shack do a sort of a box where you get some fish coujons, you get a bit of squid, you get a bit. Oh God, it's gorgeous. Oh, Kieran, it is beautiful. And I'm telling you, on the basis of this, I'll be heading toward Dunfanaghy before too long to try Corcragan because I love my fish. I love my seafood, and looking forward now. Corcragan Mill is a place I will be heading to sooner rather than later.
Very good, very good. Funny, the Killybegs Seafood Shack, I've passed it a few times, and the biggest problem, Donal, was there was always a big queue.
Oh, there is always a big queue. Oh no, if you're going,
you have to have time.
Here's what you really have to do is you go and sort of you place your order and you go for a bit of a walk and then you come back and you see that has the dual. Oh, there always is a queue because it's phenomenally good. It is phenomenally good. So
I'll have to try. I'll have to try Corcragan.
Yeah, no, I have. Oh, I'll have to try Corcragan as well now. But no, I would certainly, if you're past the Seafood Shack, do you know what? It is absolutely worth. If it's going to take half an hour, 45 minutes to queue, it is worth that 45 minutes.
I'll take your word for it.
On that. Some new farming apprenticeship programs, Kieran.
Yeah, 2 new farming apprenticeships that are set to commence in September are aimed at helping to address labour shortages in the agricultural sector. The Farm Manager Apprenticeship trains people to work as managers in the agri sector using the latest research and best practice knowledge, while the Farm Technician Apprenticeship trains people in skills in daily operations, compliance with industry standards and regulatory measures. Both of those programmes, Donal, will be run over 2 years.
Interesting one indeed. Now, Donegal event wins European award, and it's always good, when something new happens in the county and you're thinking, I wonder, will this work? It would appear in this case it most certainly did.
Yeah, as a major event and a major award, Donal, the 2022 Assembly of European Regions Summer Academy is one of 2 Irish projects selected as winners of the prestigious European Citizen Prize for 2023. The event was held for the first time in Ireland last year, was hosted by Donegal County Council and Udrus, and saw 150 delegates from 19 regions across Europe being welcomed. They went to the ATU campus in Letterkenny and the GTEC Gweedore Enterprise Hub. Donal, the ultimate aim of the Assembly of European Regions is to help and support young people to ensure that they have a real say in shaping the Europe that they will inherit, and that is through meeting, debating, visiting, and drawing out different issues through different ways.
Yeah, and it was an interesting one because of that, because of the level of involvement from young people. We had a piece on about theatre and the arts earlier, speaking to young curators at Green and Theatre, and the fact that there is a whole festival being created by 18 to 25-year-olds. And again, this initiative in Gweedore and Letterkenny was the same. It's actually getting the young people, because there's no point in old fuddy-duddies like us telling young people what they want. Let them tell us what to do.
It's planning for their future.
Yeah, absolutely. Business information session being organised by the Donegal Local Enterprise Office.
Yeah, the next business information session is being organised on Friday. That is August the 11th between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. The session is an introduction to the supports and services of the Local Enterprise Office, and it will also explain the grant aid process. The event is free, Donal, and will take place virtually via Zoom.
A really, really important session there, and the work done by the LEO is absolutely phenomenal. And any local business should at the very least make contact and see what they can do, because the Local Enterprise Office can do amazing things for businesses here.
The first port of call, Donal, and many of the guests that I've had on the programme over the last 3+ years, that has been their first port of call, and it's been very beneficial.
Small businesses affected by flooding. Now, we know Rafo, Castlefin and some other areas were hit very badly in flooding in late July, and the government has now announced the details of the support scheme that's been made available for them.
Indeed, Donal, small businesses with up to 20 employees in East Donegal that you alluded to that suffered loss or damage as a result of the flash flooding last month are being encouraged to apply for flooding relief funds under the Emergency Support Scheme. So this funding is distributed through the Irish Red Cross, and the closing date for receipt of applications is Friday, September the 1st.
And there are some, there's full details available, but it's coming in 2 tranches, if I recall, just from covering it. You can get an initial €5,000 and then it goes up to 20,000,
correct,
depending on the severity of the flooding. Right, as we previewed at the start of the slot, your guests this week, Marcin Kelly of the Kelly's Diner across the road here, and also Fiona Murphy from Citadel Gymnastics. And are we starting with Marcin?
Yeah, last month Marcin unveiled his latest addition to his team at Kelly's Diner at the mountaintop, a robotic waiter powered by artificial intelligence. According to Marcin, Oreo is proving to be a big hit with both the team at Kelly's and its patrons.
Today we have 78 staff. Last year we had 68 staff. We was 10 more staff than last year. When we came up with the idea, I mean, ultimately this was to help and assist our staff, and we would have collectively met all of our staff to get their views on it, to see how could something like this really assist them and support them in their job, right? So we got a unanimous yes from our staff before we decided to go with the robot. The chefs are probably the hardest people to please, and anybody that's in the restaurant business knows that, and even the chefs know that themselves. So I'm happy enough to say that, and they were delighted with the robot as well. Now, look, teething problems at the start, and we had to move sort of equipment in the kitchen to make it easier to get in and get out. But no, it's been a huge support for staff.
Interesting one from Marcin. And first of all, I know one of the big questions when this was announced initially was, is this going to affect your staff numbers? Is this going to lead to job losses from the figures he gave you? Obviously not. Yeah, look, the first point he made was it's not replacing a human, or it's not replacing the human contribution to his operation. 78 employed here at the minute, 10 more than this time last year. So the big decision for Marcin was, would it be beneficial to the business, and would the staff give it its blessing? And that has been the case. It has been yes in both of those circumstances. Yep. Efficiency and looking for different ways to make the business more efficient and make it better run, and adapting and embracing new change is what Marcin and businesses like his are all about. And business is actually up 10% in the diner since Oreo took to the floor. And the one thing he said was, while other members of staff can get sidetracked when they're going from the kitchen and back to the kitchen, Oreo has one job: get to the kitchen, get to the table, and get back to the kitchen. Indeed. And it's interesting too, and we were just commenting on this off air while we were playing the clip there. If a factory, if it was announced a factory was opening that was going to create 78 jobs, it would be front page news, and it would be, wow, there's 78 jobs, that's brilliant. And there's shops like Kelly's Diner across the way, and other facilities in Letterkenny and much further afield in Donegal that are employing similar numbers. And I sometimes think, I feel for people in the retail and services sector, because we get really excited about industrial jobs and factory jobs, and there's places like Kelly's Diner creating 78 jobs, and we almost don't acknowledge it.
I suppose, yeah, that is correct, Donal. I suppose there is a sort of an underestimation at times of the benefit and of the scale of employment in retail. And Kelly's Centre at Mountaintop is an extremely busy store. It goes 24/7, and by virtue of that fact, it needs a large workforce. The fact that business is good, Marcin has been able to up his team from 68 to 78 in the space of the last 12 months.
I mean, I remember, I'm working up here long enough to remember that if you wanted to get milk or whatever, or a sandwich, you had to drive out to Duns of Illestrin to get it, because there was nothing up here. And, you know, it's been wonderful. Obviously, I mean, you know, we are right across the road, so I am no stranger to that particular one. Let's move on to our next guest, and that's the co-owner of Citadel Gymnastics in Letterkenny and Gweedore.
Yeah. Having graduated in mechanical engineering, Fiona decided to leave her job as a project engineer in Donegal town and set up her own gymnastics company in Letterkenny in 2018. The following year, Citadel opened up its second base in Gweedore. Citadel currently employs 23 people, has 16 young leaders, and has recently embarked on a new recruitment campaign. Here, Fiona tells me the best lesson she's learned in business since setting up Citadel 5 years ago.
Keep listening. There's so much. Just open your eyes. It doesn't matter if somebody is 3 years old in front of you or 50 years old in front of you. Everybody, there is somebody to learn from. I've learned more lessons from the kids than I have from adults, without a doubt. As a business owner, be humble, pay attention, ask other people's advice, especially the people that are dealing with stuff more than you are. And be kind, because it will always come back, and everybody are so good and loyal and help with every way they can.
Fiona Murphy there.
Yeah, I suppose the one thing that struck me about Fiona was her change in career. A project manager in Donegal town, and she decided to concentrate her full effort, energy and work time on setting up a gymnastics club. Timing, as she would have said herself, mightn't have been the best. Late 2018 she set up in Letterkenny, set up in Gweedore in 2019. COVID was an extremely trying time. They've come out the other side really, really well. 23 staff. They're embarking on a new recruitment campaign recently, Donal, to expand their team. Up to 1,000 people per week avail of the services of Citadel in both Letterkenny and Gweedore. A great success story and something very different.
Absolutely. Now, the full interviews with Martin Kelly and Fiona Murphy available to download now on the Business Matters podcast. It's up as we speak.
Yeah, it's on our website, highlandradio.com. It can also be downloaded, as you say, on Spotify or iTunes, and it also goes out on air on Sunday evening, Donal, after the 6 o'clock news.
And Kieran, if anyone has any issues they'd like to raise, any info they'd like to pass on, or any suggestions they'd like to make, how can they make contact with you?
Yeah, just drop me an email, please, Donal, businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Kieran Donal, as ever, it's been a pleasure.
Good morning, Donal. Thank you.
Business Matters in association with ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. Now is the time to realise your potential by enrolling on the part-time degree in business. Only 3 years with 1 evening per week on campus and another online. Open up your future by contacting the faculty office on 9186206 or visit lyit.ie today.
Kirsteach hervisí cheadúnis fólamóide agus tamána líne, lena náritar anúchan ústátú málartú agus áhollathair. Tá sé éasca agus is féidir dhéanamh gan stró. Tuair cuairt an seirbhís náisiúnta cheadúnis tamána líne in jobhag ndls.rsa.ie. Mai go bhaidí devna a tastal. Teachtrocht an údarás havaltocht Wodi.
Looking for the best place in the northwest to get a bed or mattress? Restex Beds and Mountaintop Letterkenny has a great selection and great prices. Restex Beds has everything you need for a good night's sleep. Visit them today and sleep better tonight.
Hip and knee pain can be debilitating. That's why at Kingsbridge Private Hospital, our orthopaedic surgeons offer a range of hip and knee surgeries and are ready to help get you back to doing what you love fast. Why wait? Find out more about our health insurance partners and cross-border healthcare options at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It seems like about 16 minutes since I sat here and said good morning. It's 9:05. But it is actually 14 minutes to 12 and 40 minutes left on the show this morning. We had our Heritage Week competition earlier. The answer was Lifford Courthouse, and our two winners are Ryan O'Reilly of Loughnane in Annagry and Angela McKeever of Castle Shanahan in Letterkenny. Congratulations to both our winners. We'll have another Heritage Week competition for you tomorrow. Now, a rather important event took place at the weekend, as it always does, in the area of Dunlow. The annual Mary from Dunlow Festival took place, and the 2023 Mary was crowned. And the 2023 Mary is Mary from Abu Dhabi. A very good morning to Adele Morgan on Zoom. Adele, good morning.
Hi, Donal. Thanks for having me.
It's It's you are well. I said Abu Dhabi. You're actually the Dubai Mary. Excuse me, I do. Yeah, it's all in the UAE. Is this the first time that a Mary from the Asian continent has won?
It's definitely the first time we've had a Dubai Mary win for sure. It's really exciting. The Irish diaspora is huge over in Dubai, so it's really exciting that we can promote the festival so far as to Asia.
And there are huge Donegal connections there as well, aren't there, with the hotel and so on and so forth. Isn't there a big McGettigan's presence over in Dubai?
Yeah, there's a McGettigans. McCafferty's are also really, really big out there, and that's who I've got strong links with. McCafferty's were my sponsor for the festival, and they were so kind, and they also brought one of the main managers over to Donal for the festival so that I had someone from back home. So it was really nice, really supportive.
Now, you are Glaswegian, as anyone who's listening to your voice will probably have figured out by now. But I mean, we always say that sort of Glasgow is pretty much like the 25th parish of Donegal, really. I mean, the links between Glasgow and Scotland and Donegal are long there. And I'm sure you've had links with Donegal yourself.
Oh, I've got lots and lots of links to Donegal. There's a cousin round every corner. My grand's originally from Dewey herself. She relocated to Glasgow. However, her sister, she relocated to Dunlow. So that's where most of my family and my cousins all stay. So to get the opportunity to actually participate in the Married from Dunlow competition, obviously you were aware of it and you will have been growing up and so forth, because it's always been such a huge thing in Dunlow. Did the initiative come from the McCaffertys? Did the initiative come from yourself? I mean, how is it actually organised that you took? Was there a local competition in Dubai? Yeah, so there was a selection where they had sent out an invitation and asked girls if they wanted to partake in this competition. So you had to put in your application and then you had to go for an interview, and then they selected who they thought would be the best representative. One of the things we always hear from Marys, and we hear it both before and after the crowning cabaret, so it isn't just something they say after they've been crowned. I mean, you know, all the participants say it, is that they come over maybe not knowing what's going to happen, and what they actually end up having is the best crack they've ever had in their lives for a week. I would agree. This has honestly been the best week of my life. There's 14 girls who were involved in the festivals as Marys this year, and we've got such a special bond now. No one else can say that they were a 2023 Mary in Dunlow. So we had the best time. I've definitely made friends for life. I've met so many new people, and I would promote the festival for anyone. If you're thinking about going ahead to take part, definitely go and do it. And in terms of your own responsibilities, because you do have responsibilities now to the festival, I mean, part of the, I won't use the word contract because it's very sort of formal, but part of your responsibilities as Mary is you will have to go to a certain number of events. You're going to have to do a fair bit of travelling for the next couple of months. Yeah, I'm really lucky. The festival's so supportive. So I'm hopefully getting to go to a few different continents and get to explore and promote the festival further afield. I'm really hoping to promote it in Dubai as well. We've got really big plans for when we go back with the Dubai Irish Society as well over in Dubai. In terms of your own weekend, I mean, you know, it's the question I suppose we have to ask. I mean, were you surprised when it was your name that was called out at the end of the crowning cabaret? 100% surprised. I had every other girl picked before me. They are so talented. I'm not just saying this. I cannot put into words how talented and how fantastic and just kind every single girl was. There was no rivalry at all. Everyone just got on. We definitely had a sisterhood. It was lovely. It was a really nice experience. You're an English language teacher yourself over in Dubai, but you've also got an interest in sign language. Yeah, I do have a passion for sign language. It's what I used. It was my talent in the show. So it was a nice experience. Is that from a family connection, a friend connection, or is it just something that you developed over the course of your career as an educator? Well, my auntie had originally taught me BSL, the alphabet. And then as I've grown older, I am partially deaf myself. So I developed a relationship with Makaton and teaching that and promoting that in the school. It's a really good language and communication tool, particularly for children who are non-verbal. I've always said that when I was younger, one of the formative things I did in my sort of early teens, when I was about 12 really, was I joined the Scouts, and I was in the Scouts for a number of years. You've been very heavily involved in the Guides. Yeah, so my sister and I we opened our own guide unit 5 years ago, and we constructed it from scratch, and we have been going from strength to strength. We're in a deprived area of Glasgow, so it's just about giving children, particularly girls, that safe space to grow and develop socially and life skills.
That is a huge undertaking, because to do that, number one, you have to qualify as a guide leader yourself, which I presume you have done. But to actually start a guide unit from scratch, I mean, I remember when I was in the Scouts, certainly we were attached to a local school, and we had the hall, and we had so many, resources available to us and so much equipment. I mean, to actually try and source all that and actually create all that from scratch must have been a huge undertaking.
It's really, really hard, I will say that. The first year itself was very, very stressful, but we had a really good group of support, and we were also really able to, really lucky, we were able to gain a lot of funding to help support and build up our resources, build up our technology that we have, and to help support the hall that we were in. The church that we are in itself is really, really supportive as well. So all in all, we've been really, really lucky, and really, it's been an honour and a privilege to work with the young girls and see them grow and thrive themselves.
Now, obviously, you're not there on a weekly basis now yourself, because you're based in Dubai, but from your own point of view, your intention would be to spend a limited amount of time as a teacher in Dubai and then return to Glasgow, and presumably you'll be looking at getting back involved in this on a regular basis once again, once you're back on home soil.
Definitely. My sister's still running it with one of our other co-leaders as well. So I'm excited to come back. I'm still involved. I still help to do the accounts and everything when I come back over. So, and I help with ideas. Me being a teacher, I can help with simple ideas, simple crafts and activities. So I'm very much still got my foot in the door with that.
And that is the interesting thing about this new sort of online, era that we live in. I mean, we're having this conversation on Zoom, but also I'm sure you can sit down on Zoom in Dubai, and you can be having conversations about how a girl guide troop is running in Glasgow and what the accounts are and so on and so forth. And, it's maybe a really interesting demonstration of this new society that we're in, and the wonderful, it means we aren't cutting off the connections. I mean, you'll be well aware of the Bridge of Tears in West Donegal, where even when people were emigrating to Glasgow, they crossed the Bridge of Tears, and that was the last the relatives saw of them or heard from them. Maybe the odd letter, and perhaps they might come home in 5, 10, 15 years time, but if they were going to the States, probably never. Now it's so different now that you can actually on a week-to-week basis do the accounts for guide troop at Glasgow.
Yeah, just even in general, being away myself, living in Dubai, a lot of people have asked that question: how are you coping, how are you managing? But it's not been as difficult as you would have thought because of the communication. I think that'll really help me with the festival this year as well. I'll be able to talk to the coordinators, Pat, Nora and Gavin, and stay in communication and make sure that we're making the best progress and helping the festival develop in the best possible way.
Yeah. And the festival is such an integral part of Donal too, isn't it? I mean, the idea of, we spoke earlier about the McGill Summer School, and, the idea of McGill without Glenties and Glenties without McGill, you can't really think of it. And likewise with this festival, and there have at various points been discussions about the festival's future. But really and truly, the idea of an August holiday weekend without Mary from Donal just doesn't bear thinking about.
It doesn't. I can't even think about it. I've been coming to the festival since I've been a little girl myself. I've always looked up to the Marys, and being on this side of it, it's a totally different ball game. The festival itself had 106 events this year, so you can only imagine how much work and effort everyone behind the scenes puts into this. You wouldn't realise. So it's a joy, it's a privilege to be a part of it and to be representing the festival, which I know is only going to go from strength to strength each year.
And the concern sometimes, particularly for say, the Marys, is that it becomes almost like a cattle truck where you're herded from one place to another, and you're expected to go to 6 venues in a night and, attend 6 different things and meet 6 different groups of people. And sometimes it seems like it's almost, you're caught in this unending chain of visits and official functions. But you still manage to have the crack. You still manage to actually feel like you're part of something special and part of a community while you're doing it.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely all to do with the girls. All the girls have the best morale. The best fun we had was on the bus, travelling to all these different locations. We got to visit so much of Donegal. For myself, I usually just stay in Dunlow when I come, so I haven't experienced much of Donegal, but we got to visit Fanad Lighthouse, Glencolm Cow Folk Village, Slave League. All of these places are absolutely beautiful, and I'm so glad we got to experience them. And travelling to these places, it is a bit of a distance, but the fun, the songs, the dances we had on the bus, you probably can hear it in my voice just now, but we're all losing our voices just because we were having so much fun.
I'm actually amazed you survived the weekend and look so vibrant today, to be honest. Because, I mean, I'm looking and I'm thinking, there is no way I could survive that level of activity for 2 days, never mind a full week and then the weekend to follow. Adele, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Congratulations on your crowning. Adele Morgan, the Do by Mary, is Mary from Dunlow 2023. And just listening to the enthusiasm in your voice and listening to the way you're speaking there, I have absolutely no doubt that you are going to be an absolutely fantastic ambassador for the festival as well. Adele, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Donal.
And
bye-bye.
all the best for the year ahead. That's Adele there,
Bye.
who is Mary from Dunlow. And that brings the 9 till noon show to a close for today. Very special thank you to Caroline, who produced and looked after your phone calls. Niamh looked after the phone as well. Thanks to all our contributors. Most importantly, thanks to you for listening. Trudy O'Donnell is up next around the Northwest. But for myself, Donal Kavanagh, it's a very good morning. See you tomorrow. Have a very nice day.
Go full Lidl this bank holiday and fill the grill with mix and match Board B approved barbecue meats, 3 for €9. Sit back with deluxe New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, was $11.99, now $7.70. A raised back to school cost with €200,000 worth of vouchers to be won on the Lidl Plus stamp card. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today. T's and C's apply. Get the facts by Drinkaware. Visit drinkaware.ie.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Householders and building owners in areas susceptible to wildfires are advised to cut back or remove any vegetation or other combustible material in the vicinity of their house, building or oil tank.